It needs to put the link in there.
Hello and welcome once again to Big Game Bound. We're live from Radio Row alongside Jared Payton, the son of sweetness from Chi-Town. I'm Chris Hagan, and we're getting things done like we've been doing it all week, JP. The countdown continues.
I'm ready.
You know, for every show, we like to come out big. We like
Swinging.
to come out swinging.
Got to.
And you know, you got to throw one of these up.
You already know what time it is.
Who we got in the house right now, JP? Tell them about it.
One of the best in the biz, one of the best I've ever seen play on the football field, and also now in the booth, our man Greg Olson is here. How you doing, sir?
Guys, what's up?
Greg's all dressed up. He wore a jacket.
I got a long day. I didn't get dressed up for you, so don't worry.
Now, do you identify as a ginger? Are you part of the group?
No, I'm blonde. Bad lighting.
Strawberry blonde. We'll call it that. Hey, let me tell you this. Before we get into the nuts and bolts and all the good things going on, we got to talk about what you're out here talking about, because this is really exciting stuff as we build up to the big game.
Yeah, so out here with DraftKings, and what I think is so fun is the element of it's entertainment, right? Mm-hmm. So there's diehard Chiefs fans, there's diehard Eagles fans, and they're living and dying with every single play. But I think for the rest of the casual fan to just have something else, right? It's your entertainment, it's fun. You're living and dying, not necessarily because you care who wins because you're the fan, but just because you're part of the game, you're part of the action. And I think obviously this is a big week with it being Super Bowl and everything that goes on. So, so out here working this week with DraftKings, they've been a great partner of mine, and it's been a lot of fun.
When you look at the props, to me, this could be a big game on Sunday for both tight ends. When you look at Goddard and both Kelsey or what they're trying to do, I mean, having a big impact on this game. Yeah,
and a guy like Kelsey, I mean, I think he's only second behind Jerry Rice as far as like the best postseason receiver of all time. So, I mean, you never go wrong if you bet that Kelsey's going to catch a touchdown. There's probably a good chance whether the play was supposed to go his way or he just makes up a route on his own. Mahomes finds him. But, yeah, I mean, him and Goddard, these two guys, they're as good as it gets at the tight end position across the league. And 2 years ago in this matchup when we called it, Kelsey had a huge touchdown, matched up there one-on-one early in the first half. So you never can go wrong going with the tight end.
You talk about the engagement of the casual fan, or maybe this guy's a Panthers fan, he's watching the Super Bowl, and you'll be in the room with people and everybody's cheering for something different. You're one team, hey, I thought you were rooting for the Niners. Well, no, I'm rooting for points. So if anybody scores, if any guys, and it is when you get the excitement, like JP talked about, you get the parlays and all the different things you can build on DraftKings. And I mean, the world is wide open, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's fun, and it's why everybody has, to your point, everyone has their own, kind of rooting interest, and for everybody that's just living, dying, just because they're fans of the game and of the teams. Great, but some are cheering for the over, the under, who's going to score the first, who's going to win the coin toss, how long's the national anthem. The Super Bowl has always been one of those kind of fun, iconic moments. Everyone rallies around, and there's something for everybody.
You have to always make sure, too, like, I don't want to be something opposite JP.
Right.
If he's got the under, I got the over.
Enemies.
That's why I never tell anybody what I have. Because, one, I don't want to get made fun of, and then I don't want to be going against them.
Yeah, I look at this matchup, though, Greg. I mean, you've watched these teams all season long. Looking at the coaching matchup as well, this is going to be a duel for both of these coaches going into this game on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think, it's so many familiar faces for the Chiefs from, obviously year after year being in the Super Bowl, and we've gotten kind of used to Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid and obviously with the job that Spags has done on the defensive side. But, it's a lot of new faces in a lot of key places for the Eagles. And, the main guys are still there, right? Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But now you got Saquon Barkley. You got Vic Fangio, who turned that defense from worst in the league, give or take, last year to now arguably the best defense in football in just 1 year. He came from his time in Miami the last season. So I'm excited. I think this Eagles roster, and I had them multiple times throughout the course of the year, games they won, games they lost. I still feel like it's the best roster in football. I feel like top to bottom, both sides of the ball, they are loaded. They've got two good coordinators. I think Sirianni's a great head coach. I love his approach. I love the way he handles fourth downs, and he's aggressive, and it works for that team. And then personnel-wise, there's not a position that you go to and you're like, oh, man, they're not great here. They're not great here. They're really strong across the board. And, again, I'd make the argument they're the best Now, does the best roster always win? No. Right? You got to make critical plays at critical moments. That's the magic of Mahomes and these guys. But I think the Eagles are a better team. I think their team is better than they were 2 years ago when they lost to Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
It's a one-score league. That's what they want. On DraftKings, you'll see the spread usually 3 to 7 points for each and every week. So how amazed are you by the fact that all these one-score games, the Chiefs just find a way to win?
Yeah, and again, it's fun to jump on the social media, conspiracy theories about them getting calls and whatnot. It's funny how good teams also tend to be lucky, right? Yeah. Like it's not a coincidence that luck goes your way, the ball bounces your way when you play really smart ball. Penalties, you win the penalty battle, you win the turnover battle. Really good teams, that's what they do. And you mentioned the one-score games. In order to beat Kansas City, which is obviously proven to be very hard, especially in critical big moments, they are the best team in the league in gotta-have-it moments. You need a third-down stop. We saw it just in the championship round. They get it. They need a fourth down or a third down conversion to keep possession of the ball to either close a game out or to finish a drive with a touchdown instead of a field goal. They get it. They cover it. They coach it. They practice it. They obsess over gotta have it, star these different situations, and we've got to own low red zone. We've got to own 3rd and 4th and short. We've got to own 2-minute offense, 2-minute defense. They want to own those critical moments, and your margin for victory and your margin for error is just so much bigger than it would be if I have to just win more plays than you in order to win the game. It's really hard to do that in the NFL. I need to win the impactful plays, and right now that's been the secret sauce of this Chiefs team in general, and why they've proven to be such a hard beat.
Yeah, you were talking about Vic Fangio and just the impact that he's had on this Philly squad on the defensive side, but I feel like people don't give Spags enough credit for what he's done for this KC defense.
Yeah, so I think it's such a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. So you go back to 2 years ago, they were in like a rebuild. They had all those young defensive players, a ton of rookies, especially in the secondary, and it was like, all right, can Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid, can they carry the load while these young guys figure it out on defense? And going into the season, they did a complete reset. They drafted every single guy on defensive side of the ball, and they said, hey, we need to give Spags some weapons, some young players, and also some cheap contracts because we're paying so much to Mahomes and we're paying so much to these other guys other than Chris Jones, right? So that was supposed to be a rebuild year. They win the Super Bowl with all these rookies on defense. Now, last year, the offense gets off to a slow start. Who are the weapons? Well, who is Patrick Mahomes going to throw to other than Travis Kelsey? And the offense starts slow, and it's not the high-scoring 30-plus offense a game that we've seen over the years. But now that's a second-year defense surrounded with Chris Jones and Spags, and now they're even better. So they went from being the source of turnover to 1 year later being the strength of the team. That's what allowed Mahomes and them to find their groove. The defense kept them alive until they came to life in the playoffs. And now it gotten to a point where I still think the defense might actually be better than the offense. The offense just has all the stars, and the offense obviously is what everyone talks about. But it's just incredible how fast they were able to turn over a roster, continue to win Super Bowls every year. You just don't see it very often in the NFL.
Well, by law, since you're sitting here, we have to get your prediction, your pick. You said the better team doesn't always win, but who do you have come Sunday?
My football heart says, just comparing apples to apples, I do think the Eagles have the better team overall. But Kansas City has the best player. And I don't care who wins the MVP. I don't care. Until someone can beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in a big moment, he's the best player in football. And it's not about how many yards you throw for and how many touchdowns you throw for. You got to beat him. So my football heart says Philadelphia is better overall. But it's just so hard for me to wrap my brain around someone in those critical moments. If it's close, unless Philly can just get out and run from the jump and just play 2 scores ahead, if it's close, until someone proves that they can win those critical moments we talked about and beat Kansas City when they have to, I'll believe it when I see it.
So his heart says Eagles, but his wallet says Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
hey,
there you go.
I love that. I'm with that right now.
Well, you won't pat yourself on the back, but I'll do it for you. The absolute best in the business, bar none, in the booth. Love your work. Loved you on the field. You loved him as a guy at the U. So.
I love the growth and watching him grow as from college to where he is now. You do it with all your heart, and you give people like me at home or people that don't understand football, you explain it to them in a way that they can get it and understand it. That's why I think he's the best.
Basically, we're saying you can use us for a reference anytime.
Yeah, put you on my resume.
Hey, he's Greg Olsen. I want to claim him as part ginger, at least on one side of the family. Let's hit a break. We're back with more right after this.
I appreciate you guys.
See you, G.
We're back on Radio Row. Big Game Bound, JP and me, Chris Hagan, and we have a return guest. It's very rare, JP, because usually people spend some time with us and we never see them again. But that's not the case with Jeff Meller, NFL Executive Vice President, Player, and Safety, and it's too much to fit on a business card, but that's the title we'll give you today.
It's been a year, so I figured visiting you guys again wasn't really that much of a trouble.
He was able to put the trauma behind him. He's moved
That's
forward.
A good one.
You know, speaking of trauma, and I'm not saying this to make light of it, but I did have a traumatic brain injury, and it was on a football field, a flag football field. So I know how important it is to take care of the melon. And the one thing I've noticed this year is those little
Guardian caps.
I call them the little puffy helmet things. Now we have them in the game, and they have the logos. So it looks like a lot of players, including big names like Jonathan Taylor with the Colts,
he did wear one. Yeah.
They have embraced this. And that's got to make you guys happy when you see that, hey, we've got some innovations, we've got some things going on, and players aren't saying, I'm not wearing that. They say, you know what, I'm looking out for my best interest.
No, I think that's right. I think, and Jared can probably speak to this, the culture from when he played till today has changed a great deal because players are really well educated on these issues, and they are looking actively. You talk to players or equipment managers or athletic trainers, they ask, what's the best equipment for me to be in? What's going to provide the most protection? And the helmets that you wore back then and the ones today, it's like night and day. They've so much. I mean, the 5 best helmets ever tested in our lab and performed on field were available this year for players to wear for the first time, and more than 300 players moved into them in 1 year alone. And some, getting back to Guardian Cap, chose the Guardian Cap, which is an extra layer to put on top of it. We mandated those for the practices, practice in the preseason where we see the most concussions. And so all the players were wearing them this year, and we saw a decrease in concussions by 50% over where we were just a couple of years ago. And during the regular season, we said to the players, well, if we're telling you to wear them in practices, if you want to wear them in games, that's fine. And a handful did. I think we had maybe 20 over the course of the year, no more than maybe a dozen in any given week. But one of the reasons is, and sorry to go on long on this, but for those who wanted to wear Guardian Cap, we said, these 5 helmets that I just mentioned, they actually are better, at least as good as, a regular helmet plus the Guardian Cap. So the technology is moving really fast.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was. My
so
question.
Let's go to the best, right, as opposed to the stopgap. Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. Is just how are you guys dealing with the technology? Because in our world, it's evolving over time, and it seems like it is as well from the helmets. I mean, I remember having kind of like they used to call it the spaceship helmet after having the concussions that I had in Miami, to then seeing how these helmets are being made now. How are you guys keeping up with the technology?
Well, it's a really good relationship because what we've done over the course of the last few years with the Players Association is we collect and examine all of these concussions that happen on field, and we examine them. And then we build lab testing to resemble what happens on field, and then we tell the helmet manufacturers, build a helmet that does better in this test. And what's amazing is that how it does in the lab correlates with how it does on field. So I can say to Jarrett, hey, look, if you wear this helmet, you're 25% more likely to get a concussion than if you wear this helmet. And guess what? He changes helmets. And so the helmet manufacturers have been great because we've given them a bunch of data that we couldn't have given them 10 years ago, but given the advances in technology, we collect all this information, organize it, share it with them, and so you end up with better helmets. And you end up with position-specific helmets too, because linemen experience the world very differently from, say, a safety, right? They don't necessarily get hit in the same place. They don't get hit at the same speed, but they get hit more frequently. And so the helmet manufacturer said, okay, with that information, I can provide more protection in the places where they're going to have contact. And as a result, their injury rate's going down. In fact, this year, this is the headline. I should have started with this. The headline is we had the fewest concussions in the NFL this year we've ever had.
Wow.
Full stop.
That is hugely important.
And to me, when you see a difference from the time that I played, even when my pops played, is the spotters now of being able to spot these guys on the field, get them off and get them checked in a matter. That's what we're seeing when we're watching on a Sunday, how fast they are reacting to getting these guys and getting them checked.
Yeah, we have independent spotters and independent doctors, meaning they're hired by the league as opposed to by the teams, so there's no issue of bias. And their whole job is to identify when a player needs to be evaluated. So they don't diagnose. The independent spotter doesn't diagnose anybody. He says, that guy got up kind of slow, a little worried about that hit. Can you take him to the sideline and look at him? And a few years ago, players would react to that and say, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But now I think the culture's changed to the point where the player, and especially the player's teammates, are like, no. It's going to take, you're going to be out for 2 plays. Go to the tent, let the doctor see you, and make sure that you're okay. And we end up with, here's a little stat for you, we end up evaluating between 3 and 4 players for everyone who's diagnosed with a concussion. So it's really a culture of safety, and I think the players, to the point ultimately, have bought in so substantially that it makes a lot of this much more fluid than it used to be.
And what's interesting, not to make it all about me, which I love to do, JP.
Go for it, Chris. Go for it. I remember that from. I remember this from last year.
Exactly.
I remember that from last year. That's why I didn't come back.
Exactly. When I had my traumatic brain injury, I thought I was fine. Like I had been knocked out, didn't realize I was knocked out, and I was like, "No, I'm good." Sometimes the players aren't just trying to be Mr. Tough Guy. Like they don't realize they've been hurt. And you need somebody. That's what they did to me. They talked to me. They asked me some questions, and whatever I said, they're like, "Hey, we're going to the hospital." And I literally did not know that something had happened to me. But to shift gears from all the brain stuff, which is first and foremost of importance, the analytics these days, it's amazing how we're focused on the equipment, the gear. But now you hear stats about the playing surface because every field is different. What have we learned about what's good and what's bad? Because some stadiums will have a bad rep for as far as like, hey, they need to fix this. It's bad. I remember back at the Hall of Fame game, they canceled the Hall of Fame game because of the bad paint on the turf there. Yeah. So that's something we've been studying as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we're putting a lot of time and effort into that. Also with the Players Association, the players say, hey, look, a lot of them, not all of them, say I'd prefer to play on grass than synthetic. And there's a reason for that because your body, Jared could tell you, feels better after you finish playing on grass than synthetic. Now, synthetics have made a lot of progress over the years, and they're better now. And the injury rate between the two is exactly the same this past year. No difference between the two. But there's more to the story. We think we can drive injury rates down on both grass and synthetic. Grass in Chicago, as you know, is not the same. In December, isn't the same as grass in Jacksonville, right? That's a different feel. Just like synthetics, indoors, outdoors, how much infill. So two things that we're trying to do. One, there needs to be more consistency. So when a player steps on a field, whether it be in Atlanta or Detroit, he's feeling something very similar. His body doesn't have to get acclimated to two different surfaces. We can do that in relatively short order. Two, similar to what we're doing with the helmet companies, we're sharing a lot of the data that we're collecting with the synthetic turf manufacturers and say, build this better so that this feels more like grass. And with the grass, the turf fields, saying, hey, let's do something a little more consistent here so that it feels the same for the players.
And being at the commissioner's press conference, Commissioner Goodell was just talking about how they're working with Nike even with the shoes and how they're making these shoes to fit the playing surfaces that these guys are
yeah,
playing
I was out with Nike just last month, and we said to them, hey, look, this is what we're doing on surfaces, so we're going to end up with a more consistent surface. You're going to find very few differences among the surfaces that are in the NFL and within a couple of years. Will that help you optimize a cleat for safety and for performance for the player, depending on position that he's wearing? And they said, well, if we knew exactly what the surface is going to be like, then I think that we can probably play around with the cleat and design something a little bit better. So that should probably help decrease some of the ankle sprains and some of that stuff.
Unreal.
Right? And help guys get in and out of cuts faster, like the kind of thing that goes towards not just injury, but performance too.
And the important thing is, a lot of people talk about it's the ratings, it's the superstars, and they consider the players are a product, but they're human beings. They have lives where they need to be healthy now and then long term. Because back in the day, I've been around guys like Joe Theismann, some of these guys, and it's hard for them to walk, it's hard for them to move around, but they've done so much now about the rehab, the rest and recovery, and it goes into all the things. And as you said, this is continuously evolving. We have to make it so these guys have good lives now and good lives when they're through with their football career.
Yeah, sort of our theory of the case is, first, there's no finish line here. But as technology improves, as medicine improves, as we can invest in research and understand more, including using artificial intelligence and computer vision and modeling different things, like modeling the kickoff play to see what, simulating it, what could come up differently. As we learn more and invest in it, we can do more for our players and hopefully extend their careers. Listen, 17% of fewer players suffer concussions this year than they did the year before. That's pretty darn good.
We all
right?
thought after changing that kickoff rule, and everybody was like, I don't know. You don't even really think about it anymore. You don't think about it, and I think people get ingrained into it. But for a guy that was on kickoff cover, it's almost a blessing because you're not taking those hits. And back in 2004. They could have the wedge, and when you were a guy running down trying to break up the wedge, there was no help for you at all.
Look, the injury rate on that play was 4 times the play from scrimmage. Wow. 4 times. We had to do something.
Yeah.
Right? And so we ended up this year, the stats were we ended up with 330 more kicks returned and 12% fewer injuries. Well, it's pretty good for year one.
And you think about, you get used to things. Remember, there was a time when there weren't face masks. And they're like, well,
now you're going way back, Chris. I don't know what you were doing.
Back
That's
when
Chris.
I was a freshman in high school, they said, hey, Chris, we're going to try these face masks. It is great, and it's always fun to talk to you because you give us insight, because people, they think, oh, they're just going out there and playing. But you guys are doing the research. People are looking into this because, as you said, there's a long life after football, and you want that to be the best quality of life as possible. Now, I know you can't pick a winner. You're a neutral guy, but do you think we can expect a good game come Sunday?
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, these are the two best teams, right? And they've been great all season. You guys talk about it, I'm sure, endlessly and dissect it in ways that I can't even think about. I'm just hoping come the fourth quarter that this is a one-score game and we're going down to the wire. And I kind of hope, I kind of think, you know, when you dream about it, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, I think it is.
That means he's picking the Chiefs because the Chiefs
he didn't say that. Don't put words in his mouth.
They never lose a one-score game, so he hopes the Chiefs win. Jeff, I'm going to report you to the league offices.
Don't tell the Eagles. I root for close games and I root for underdogs.
I get you.
He's Jeff Miller, NFL Executive Vice President of Health and Safety, Human Relations and Services and Podcasting and Webcasting, correct?
I'll see you next year, Chris.
He'll be back. He'll be back. Hey, that's Jeff Miller. Always great to visit. Let's hit a break. We're back with more right here on Radio Row. Say hello to Misha the Tiger, Des Moines, Iowa, the Blank Park Zoo. Misha has done all the research needed to pick a winner, and by that I mean sniffed on some boxes, and Misha says, Chiefs. Now, animals at that zoo, JP, 11 of the last 14, so I can think of no better way to make up your decision about making a wager than Misha the Tiger tearing into a box with the KC logo on it.
Well, that's how I'm going to do all my prop bets. And,
Fair warning at home, we cannot stand behind the ideas that Misha the Tiger brings to the table. We can stand by this.
Yeah.
A great interview we just had moments ago with your guy.
Sean Alexander. Always good, isn't it?
Running backs are back, and you'll find out right now. Take a look. It sounded so nice, I'll say it twice.
Yep.
Sean Alexander.
Sir.
How many roll tides you get when you go walking around places like this?
It's pretty consistent being in for the Super Bowl. But
you get tired of it?
Nah, I love that stuff, man.
Nah, it's like when you throw up the U. I mean, you say roll tide.
Y'all got the Bama. You got the U. I'm over here Mississippi State. We ain't got nothing to talk about. We ain't got nothing to talk about. Hey, before we talk football, you're always out. You're doing good things. You're giving back. What causes are you here repping today?
Man, really, I'm just excited about what we've been building with Stand Together. You know, it's the organization I partnered with. I'm an ambassador for. Gosh, it's almost been 7 years now. I've been doing stuff with them with the Super Bowl for the last 5. Stand Together is about 850 of some of the greatest businessmen, women, and philanthropic leaders in the country. They put their time, talent, and treasures to tackle some of the country's biggest issues. We're talking poverty. We're talking kids and community work, putting families together, helping keep families together. They go into the juvenile justice system. You know, I'm a big one with Cafe Momentum, and we've seen those young kids that have done crimes and should be in jail, but then they're like, wait a minute, you actually are more than the cause, and they come and join the Cafe Momentum group, which is a paid internship for a restaurant for a year. And as I said, they put the mommies and daddies and aunties and uncles around them, which look like social workers or psychologists or tutors, and you're seeing recidivism, which in our country is about 50%. Kids that go through Cafe Momentum is like 11.
Wow.
And so we have now put a Cafe Momentum, started one in Dallas, and we've got Atlanta being built, Denver, Pittsburgh's up and running, Houston, Tampa. The goal is to put one in every NFL city and see if we can change communities like that. And with Stand Together, they've got more. They've got like 350 type of organizations like that, where it's business for good. It's teaming up with people that are doing great work. And what I love is Stand Together has helped fuel players in the league now. Some of the legends, Jared and I have been talking about, how do we go and impact communities at a high level like we do. And it's been good. There's Rashad White, Tampa's running back. So
he's on my fantasy team, by the way.
Yeah,
I need to go thank him for some of them points he put up.
Talk about that though, Sean. Just the relationship that Stand Together is, partnering with some of these players and some of the stuff that they're doing.
A lot of times guys get in the league and they're not really quite sure what they want to do, and so it turns into turkey, Christmas, and maybe a back to school. And you're like, man, there's something great inside you. There's something that's happening in your life that with your platform will overflow and dump into some kind of great community work. Let's pull that out of you and let's get the right people around you for you to impact. Instead of 1, 2, 10, 100, maybe even 1,000, let's get the thousands and tens of thousands, and then collectively let's all go figure out how us players and guys that have been in this platform, how we can affect millions. And so like that's the goal, is how do we get guys to go from one to many in a very quick way. And it's usually by somebody catalyzing all of us to go do some great work together and letting fans come and be a part of it. It's a lot of fun.
Speaking of going somewhere in a fast way, I know you did that. Saquon Barkley's doing that. It's the return of the running back.
Yes,
return of the back.
Return of the back. Are you excited to see that and see what he's been able to do this incredible season he had? And now he'll be playing for it all come Sunday.
Yeah, I think he's going to be like the last great running back not to win the MVP. Because if they win this Super Bowl, they're going to be like, wait, let's slow everything down. We've given so much attention to the quarterback, and here you have a great running back with a great team, with great stats, with great numbers that wins a Super Bowl. Is that not what the MVP is?
Yes.
What are we talking about here?
The impact that he had on coming over to Philly has been phenomenal.
It's been like legendary.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be one of those guys that they're like, yeah, when he came, look at what it did to the team. The team was already good. They had there a couple years ago, right? Now you take him there. If they win it, it changes the running back for many moves. And that's just the evolution of football. Remember when the quarterback was the best player and they run the quarterback sneak, and then they said, oh, wait, if we get the angle of a great running back, then the best athlete was the running back. They in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. And
then they said, well, man, if we back the quarterback and throw the ball, then it was like, oh, maybe we get a great receiver. And now one of the best athletes was a receiver. And then they said, oh, okay, now leaving the running back open. So went back to the running back, and now you get the quarterback that can dual threat. And now they're trying to figure out how do we stop a receiver and a dual threat quarterback. They line everything up, hand it back to the running back. A great running back knows if he can make one guy miss, and he's got speed to break a long run, he dominates the game. That's where the Eagles are right now. And so the running back is back.
All right, final minute. I know you got to run.
Yeah.
Got to get your pick. Who you like come Sunday?
How can you go against Patrick Mahomes?
Everybody's saying the same thing.
How can you? I'm still going with the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
I'll go with the Eagles. I'll go with the Eagles. I just want to see great defense, and I think it's going to go down to the last drive of the third and the second and the first drive of the third, because if they can get a 10-point swing there, the Eagles, they got a shot, because when you get in the 4-minute offense in the end of the game, the Eagles are different than most other teams.
Right.
Their 4-minute offense usually leads with a touchdown. And so, like, let's say if they're up 3, it's not like, hey, we're going to try to run out the clock. The Eagles are like, oh, we're just trying to go run the win.
Yeah.
And it's just a different mindset. When I was with Seattle, that's how we did. So our 4-minute offense wasn't like to run out the clock. Everybody was like, hey, Sean, are you going to run all the way into the end zone? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, they already knew. Like, our 4-minute offense wasn't just, hey, we're going to just hope to run out the clock. We're running our offense, and I'm going to try to score. And it worked for a lot of teams. So we beat a lot of teams when I was there by 13. We beat a lot of teams by 10. Instead of just run out the clock and win it by 3. So the Eagles have that. If they have the lead and they get into that last 6 minutes of the game, they run the ball and they score touchdowns, and that's their win.
Sean, you're the man. Thanks for making time. Ring of Honor. He's sporting the Seahawk jacket.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you again.
Yes,
We'll do it again
You
next
guys are
time.
awesome, no doubt.
Thanks.
they're IDing this player right here, okay? Empty protection, right? So that means the center has him, the left guard has him, the left tackle has him.
Who uses a spoon as a telestrator? Well, only one guy can pull that off, JP. We're back live here on Radio Row. We're talking about Jeff Schwartz, friend of the show, back again on Radio Row. Jeff.
Yes.
I guess when in doubt, just grab whatever you can. You had a spoon there. You had to go to work.
I get more views if I use a spoon than if I do like a professional edited video.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, like I could take the time to do a nice video. Like I have like a whole tablet I could draw like X and O stuff, and then it's nothing. No one cares. I might, you know what? I might start the video with a spoon and then drop it and do like write stuff. And maybe that'll get me more views. But yeah, it just seems to work out. People seem to like it.
Well, I think what's been great about you over the years, you know, as we talk to you and I listen to you. By the way, you guys, you made me some money on those.
Thank you.
You'd have your best pick of the week. And
yeah, we did really well this year.
I'm rolling with Jeff. Yeah, and I told people, I go, hey, they're giving away free money, basically.
Yeah, I think college football, Bear and I won our last 15 wagers in the season, which is like, I mean, wow. I'm sure we'll win 35% next year. But, I mean, yeah, we won. I think we won every wager in bowl season. And then NFL's been okay, not as good, but yeah, we had a good college football season.
It's amazing how nowadays you can find your audience anywhere, and like you said, you've always been yourself. That's what I've liked about it. You haven't tried to say, I'm going to be Mr. Broadcast guy. You're having fun, you're picking up spoons, you're giving out picks, and you're doing it in maybe an unconventional way, but you're having success with it.
I would probably make more money if I did conventional stuff, which I think about sometimes every now and then, but no, I like being myself. I mean, I think that's the most thing, just be authentic, right? You see these people come here this week that are, look, you're not being authentic, and you know, you just be yourself, and I think it works out in the end.
How gratifying is it to be able to see the comments of people that are learning from what you're teaching them?
So that's my goal. When I first got into social media, essentially when I was done playing, my goal was to make everyone a smarter football fan. That's my ultimate goal with those videos. So that's what I try to do. And if it doesn't work, try again next time. But yeah, that's my goal, is to make everyone smart. I think it's more fun to watch ball, or any ball, when you know what's happening, right? And football can seem complex, and it is at times, but really sometimes it's not. I mean, that final play that you guys showed right there, I mean, wasn't that crazy? They the Chiefs brought a corner and the Bills weren't ready for it. I try to explain that as best I could.
How differently do you watch games now than you did in your playing days? I know you would watch film as a player, but now, do you see it in a different way?
No, I mean, because I gamble so much, you watch games differently because you gamble. But as far as no, I mean, I always watch so the lines out,
right.
And which is what I've always done, whether I was playing or not, right? But no, I mean, the gambling thing definitely changes how you watch games. I mean, you start doing the math in your head, and that's why I try my best to avoid wagering on games that I have any sort of rooting allegiance, like Oregon games or even Chiefs games. But you can't get away from, obviously, to Sunday. You have to wager on this game.
What's funny is you start doing the math. Like if you've got an over,
correct.
A team, how much time, and sometimes you'll think, somebody will say, oh, your team's winning, and they have the ball. I'm like, yeah, but if they make 2 first downs and the clock, they're not going to kick the field goal. And that's what you saw in the national championship game when the Ohio State Notre Dame, it was now a push. I had it at -8, and they threw the long ball, and I'm like, I was doing the math. I'm like, is this going to add up where they're forced to end that possession and kick the field goal? And so those are the things that start running through your brain.
Ohio State was the right side in that game. One thing that bothers me about sort of gambling discourse on social media is the idea of a bad beat. No one knows what that is for the most part. A bad beat's not when you're losing your bet for 95%, then you start covering and then you lose again. That's not a bad beat, right? a bad beat is when you're winning for most of the time and then lose for something unfortunate that happens. So people don't even sort of use those terms correctly. That was not a bad beat for Irish fans. I was on Ohio State too. They controlled the game for 95% of the game. Notre Dame was within the number very, very shortly, and then they converted the long pass and scored a touchdown. It was sort of field goal, and that was the end of it.
I maintain that the bad beats they show on television shows is just based on that pre-kickoff, pre-tip-off line. But now when you can bet, any part of the game,
live betting
everything is a bad at every point. I guarantee you, every basket that's scored with 2 seconds left is a bad beat for somebody.
I mean, SVP does the bad. He does a good job.
Right.
That's actual bad beats. Yes.
Yeah. I think about just live betting. I mean, that's where
it's hard.
It is hard, but I feel like once you I get a better sense of the game and the flow of the game to be able to put some stuff together.
So you have to be watching the game to live bet on it.
Yeah.
Right.
People, I think, sometimes go box score looking.
Yes.
And don't wager and wager on games based on that. You have to be actually watching the game, and you have to understand what's happening. And there are sometimes you live wager, and it's just like not that team's day. You're like, that should be their day, and it's just it did not. And that's obviously you can lose those wagers. But live wagering can be very helpful. The one thing about live wagering too that I think gets people in trouble, and certainly gets me in trouble, is when you have an idea about how the game is going to go, and then it doesn't really go that way, and you double down, and then you lose both of the wagers, right?
Yes.
Like you have to be able to come off of your preconceived notion of the game to then maybe wager something differently.
One time I lost 5 bets in one game on the Warriors. They
Only
were,
5.
They were losing to somebody. They were favored, and I'm like, oh, well, now I've got the Warriors +3. And it ended up they got beat by like 30 points. And
Yes,
I just kept, I'm going to get the Warriors +25. That's awesome.
You have to be able to cut your losses. That's a big part of not even success in sports wagering, but just limiting losses. It's just saying, like, I was wrong about this game. I'll take the L.
You got to cut. You ever do this? You make a bet on a team. Let's say you bet on the Oilers in hockey, and you don't really follow the Oilers, and the game comes on, and the first thing out of the guy's mouth, yeah, that stomach bug has gone through the entire locker room, and right away you're like, no wonder they were only -105 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have that happen very often.
You do some research.
You're wagering on hockey games without researching them?
You know, Jeff, I have a lot of problems.
That's
okay?
when you know you guys.
That's just one of them. Well, I get off work at midnight, and I want to have something to bet on, so it's a West Coast game usually. That's when you have your hockey games.
There's a hockey system I've been doing this year that I'll give Jonathan Davis credit for. I work with a VSiN, and it lost 7 in a row before winning again last night, but it's over 60%. You take a team that gets shut out in hockey. The next game, you take the first period over and goal in the first 10 minutes. Goal in the first 10 minutes was at 70% entering Saturday. It lost 7 times in a row, and then it won last night with the Flyers.
So if a team has been shut out, their next game you're going to take the first period over and goal in first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Now the goal in the first 10 minutes is a little pricey. But it was 70%, and then it lost 7 in a row Saturday, Sunday, Monday in the first game yesterday, and then it finally cashed. The Flyers scored last night, who've been shut out 3 games in a row.
Well, when you do your research and breaking down this game on Sunday, are there any matchups that stand out? Are there any props that jump off the page?
Well, yeah, I like a lot of props. The matchups to me, I don't think are like gambling related. I mean, they're really on the lines, right? So there's the Jalen Carter against Trey Smith, and then the Eagles have an advantage with the Chiefs left guard, who is Mike Caliendo is a backup for Joe Thuney, who's out now at left tackle, and it's a problem. I mean, the Chiefs have stabilized pass protection with Joe Thuney at left tackle, but the run blocking's been affected, which makes sense. You take an all-pro left guard and you move him, and you're going to be, it's going to be tough for left guard. And Jordan Davis is good, not Jalen Carter. So the question is, do the Eagles move Jalen Carter over the left guard? I think the Chiefs have to pass the ball a lot in this game. And I like Patrick Mahomes over pass attempts because they won't run the ball. The Eagles are good at stopping the run, and the Chiefs don't run it well the last 5 games because of the offensive line move. And the Chiefs use short passes, jet sweeps, sort of those things as run plays.
Yes.
They RPO a ton, which they did against Buffalo. Now, Buffalo had a lot of man coverage, so the RPOs, I think, were a little bit easier at times because you can get that linebacker to move a little bit more toward the running back if he's in man coverage. But they consider those like run plays in their offense, essentially. And so I think Mahomes has to throw the ball a lot in this game. So maybe it does lead to a wager. I mean, I have Mahomes over pass attempts. It's 35.5 or 36.5. I think he's got to be near 40. I mean, he's going to have to throw the ball a lot in this game for them to have offense.
Before I left Chicago, the prop for Saquon Barkley's over his rushing yards was like 115.
Come down. Yeah.
You think is he over 100 yards?
I'm waiting to see where it ends up, and I missed the 115.5. I might, if it gets back up there, I'll take the under. Not because of, so everyone has the stat, right, where Chiefs have not allowed a 100-yard rusher in 18 playoff games. I mean, to me, that's not Saquon Barkley. It's not. You haven't played Saquon Barkley yet, But what the Chiefs' run defense does well, and I think this is important, is they tackle and they're in the right spot. Like, they're not going to get fooled by much, right? But the Eagles' offensive line's really good, and Barkley's good at breaking tackles. Barkley's longest rush is 25.5. That's an insanely high number. That most of the time, the highest it gets is 19.5. So you get 6-yard difference. he's not. I don't think he's running for 26 yards in this game. The way the Chiefs safeties tackle and the rally the ball, the Chiefs safeties, if you want to take looking for some exotic-ish wagers, them to go over their total tackle essentially, Justin Reed and Connor and Cook, because they got to be a big part of this game if you're the Chiefs. Saquon might get 100. Here's the funny part about that stat. Like, if Barkley gets 101 yards rushing, but the Chiefs win, why does that matter that he didn't get? They got 101. It's right. You have to be able to sort of understand why the props are why the results are what they are. And to me, explain in football terms, I'm not a trend guy just to be a trend guy in football. I think that doesn't get you anywhere. Other sports, like I mentioned, the hockey, like that has year over year, you see that. But to me, in the NFL, you have to be able to explain the trend for it to make sense.
Well, if we talk about all the props and all these different things, what about just for the game itself? Yeah. Who do you like to win straight up?
I bet the Chiefs money line first thing when the line jumped. Okay. I might even have a bad number. I think it's at a little bit lower now. I think I took minus 125. I don't care. I'm fine with that number. Look, I subscribe to the principle that it's minus 120 now. I subscribe to the principle minus 115. Ooh, well,
Jeff's got to go now. Yes, yeah.
I know. I have to
go make some money.
I subscribe to the principle of show me someone who beats the Chiefs.
Okay.
Just someone's got to do it, right? What I love, by the way, about this rigged discussion, everyone's like, the game is rigged. Well, hopefully you've been betting on the Chiefs then.
Yeah.
If it's rigged, you should be making a ton of money.
Yeah.
I've been betting on the Chiefs. I made a ton of money in the first 2 playoff games. No, I just look, in the end, I get Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. I get a championship team who's done this many times before. I get a team that they win all the big moments in these games. They just, the 4th and 5, I go back to that. They just win all these big moments. And other teams just don't do that. And the Eagles certainly can do that. But show me, if Mahomes has the ball with down at all in the 4th quarter, sign me up for that. So I'm on the Chiefs in this game until I'm proven otherwise.
Best prop bet?
I like Kelsey over 6.5 receptions. It's high. It's normally 5.
Yes.
It's normally 5.5.
I know. I'm scared about that one.
So here's why I like it. Two reasons. One is, despite what he has said, this could be his last game. I know he said he's playing 3 more years. If he's on a pitch count next year, maybe. If he's doing a Joel Embiid and just takes every other game off, I think he could do it. But he just, to me, you watch him play, and it's the Chiefs started the year with Rashee Rice getting all those targets for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they wanted Kelsey to be the 2nd or 3rd option. Rashee Rice got hurt. Kelsey ended up with 140 targets, which I don't think they want that from Kelsey. And he's going to play well. So a couple things. Since 2020, no, actually I think since 2019, in the Super Bowl era they've had 2019, he's had 9 games where he's had rest in the playoffs before that game. All 9 he's had at least 6 targets and 6 catches. And then now 6.5. It's up 1. You get plus money on this one. So I think they're going to target him for the last game sort of hurrah. But also the matchup works really well. They play a ton of zone, which works well for Travis in the middle of the field. And Oren Burks is in there for Nakobe Dean. I think he's the guy that they target a bunch. And also, too, if the pass rush is getting to Mahomes, who's the guy he throws to? Travis Kelce.
Yes.
So I think Kelce gets there. Plus, to the idea of how do you create run plays, they like to put Kelce in the slot, throw him a little quick, a little screen here and there. So I just think he gets there. It's a big number. Again, this is the important part about wagering. You have to sort of know where the numbers are normally at. Normally, it's 5.5 for Kelce. Right. That's where it's normally at. It's 6.5 this week. So understand that that's not the normal number that you're getting.
Because you get the pros versus Joes on some of these things.
Well, the pros are all on. I mean, the Joes are all on the Goddard overs.
Right.
They're all on the overs. Taking under is tough because you want things to happen.
Yeah, you don't want to watch a boring
game. You don't want to think I only need Kelsey catch 6 passes. You're like, I want him to have 12 catches. That's natural, I think, to feel that way.
Well, Jeff, get your plugs in. Where can people check you out?
Yeah, so Fox Sports, my Bear Bets podcast. You can go to SiriusXM. I work on VSiN as well. Just Jeff Schwartz on social media works well. There's plenty of places to find me. So I'm around. I'm around this week. I mean, it's a busy week. This is it's fun. It's the only time I get to see people all year, basically, too.
Did you have one last question, JP?
Over under 48.5.
So this is the pros versus Joes thing, right? I mean, all the Joes are on the over. The pros are on the under. I like the over, so maybe I'm a schmo. I think both teams are going to be aggressive on 4th down. I mean, we know they are, right? Under 6.5 punts is a good wager to me. They have to be. Now, if they go 1 for 6 combined on 4th down, you get an under game. You just do. But both teams are really good at converting on 4th down, and both teams are going to try to score touchdowns as much as possible. Going to push it down the field. So I have it over. But the pros are on the under. It's certainly an underplay in this game if you're a pro.
All right, Jeff, I'll be on this little NHL trend you have. Now I won't be so dumb when I get off work.
Yeah,
and go home and watch this hockey game.
none for tonight.
Jeff has done his research, unlike us. Jeff Schwartz, always great to have you. Thanks for being here with us again. All right, let's hit a break. Back with more right after this. Hey, we're back live. There we are. Gave you a little subliminal tease.
We had to.
Alongside Jared Payton, the son of sweetness.
What's going on, man?
I'm Chris Hagan. A tradition unlike any other. We see the big names. We see the folks rolling through.
Yes.
And you know what?
You heard him.
You know, this is a perfect guest to have, Coach, because I just saw a riverboat right across the way.
Yeah.
So we got Riverboat Ron in
Natchez.
the Riverboat City. Coach, you going to sit down? You just going to run?
I don't know. I'm used to standing up, moving up and down the sidelines and stuff like that. But,
Coach,
you've always had the juice. Ron Rivera, I mean, jump in, JP. This is your guy.
I mean, he's like an uncle to me. So, I mean, he's watched me grow up, watched me run around Hallis Hall, the old Hallis Hall, in diapers and causing trouble. So, how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, Jared. How are you?
Always good to see you, man.
Oh, it's good to see you. It really is. Reminds me so much of seeing your dad. I mean, it really does. It's always nice to be around you and your sister and your mother. Whenever I get an opportunity to say hello to them, it's always been very cool.
I could tell it was real, though, because you saw a legitimate smile.
Yeah.
His face lit up.
Well, you heard him yell my name before he sat down.
Yeah,
we got to talk about why he's here.
Yeah, I mean, always a great cause. You always put your name with important and big things. Tell us about it today.
Well, I'm here with USAA for the Salute to Service Award. I was fortunate enough a couple years back I got to win it. And it's very important to me personally because of my father's service to the United States of America. He was an Army officer for 32 years, served our country, and because of that, I've always felt this desire to get involved and to give back. And with USAA support, I've been able to do that. The Salute to Service program that they have with the NFL is one of the biggest deals that they do every season, and it is to bring the awareness that we have people in the NFL that are showing their support for the United States military and their families.
A lot of times when you have folks that maybe didn't serve in the military but their parents did, you'll see the mom and dad in the stands, and you can tell how that trickles down to the children, doesn't it?
It does, and I think a big part of it is the way you grow up. One of the things that I always did as a coach was you always ask the questions is, hey, so tell me about growing up. And one of the things you want to find out is what was your parents' background? If your dad coached or your mom coached, you knew that you had a player that understood sports. If they were teachers and military personnel, you knew there was a certain type of respect and discipline that you were going to get. So that to me always spoke about, upbringing. And that's what was so important was young people having the right kind of upbringing.
How you were raised, though, how did that impact how you played on the field, but also the way that you coached?
I think a lot of it is because you learn and understand very quickly the chain of command. You understand that mom was in charge of everything. The big reason because dad was always gone. My dad went to Vietnam twice, went to Korea, spent time in Central and South America, in Asia. I mean, dad was a military guy. So mom, she assumed all the roles. And so you learn very quickly what your role is, and you did it. You did it with discipline, and you did it correct. And so growing up that way was the same thing for me with coaching. There was a certain amount of discipline that you wanted, a certain amount of respect that was called upon, and then an understanding of what the chain of command was and how that chain of command worked was very important.
Let me ask you this. I hate to be one of those guys that says, back in my day, you say back in my day it was like this. But you hear coaches, Nick Saban, he retires. The athlete you're coaching today is different than the athletes you coached back in the day. You have to grow and adapt, but it seems like, it's a little different. It's not as structured. Maybe they're not as used to being talked to in a certain way.
Well, the thing that's real interesting is, and one of the things that I try to do is keep on up with what's going on with the development growth of these young people. So I have a friend who's a sports sociologist, works at a university, and we would talk about talking to today's young athletes. And one of the big things he always talked about was you've got to make sure that they're involved in the process and how the decisions are made and the understanding of how we're going to do things and why. And found that that's probably one of the biggest things is getting their involvement, getting their understanding of the why, and then their willingness to do things. That was so important that they understood that this is why we do things.
Well, the why I got from my dad was why? Because I said so. That's why.
Chris, I had the pleasure of doing Legends of the Big Game and traveling to Washington. So I got a chance to go to the facility and sit down with Coach and hear his story. The one thing that jumped out to me is how you integrated the front office to the football office, everything being together. And to me, that's always stood out to me of how you bridge those two together.
Exactly, because what happens is if you have any in my opinion, if you have separation in your building, you have people that are pulling in different directions and there's not enough communication of what's going on. Obviously, winning is one of the big things, and having a quarterback helps winning. But if not, you've got to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody's buying in and believing in what you're trying to do. And that was one of the things that I always believed that Mike Ditka did, was he made sure everybody understood that we had a primary focus and a primary goal, and this is how it was.
Can you explain to idiots like me who was never in an NFL locker room that bond you have? You see Walter's son. It takes you back to, I'm sure when you see any of those old teammates, it brings you back. And that's something maybe in the moment you don't realize what it is. Years later, you appreciate it.
No, it is brothers in arms, and I'm sorry to use a military term, but there's such a great comparison between the military and professional sports or sports for that matter. That's really what it is. You come together, you go through this training process, you play this game with one goal in mind, and that's the mission, completing the mission. And for us, we got to do it in 1985. We were here in New Orleans, we won the Super Bowl. And it was all about the fact that we completed the mission, and that's what makes it so great.
Coach,
you gonna make him cry over here, Coach.
I'm just thinking about it. I'm 44 years old now. I was just turned 5 back then. I could only imagine the craziness when you were here back for that '85 Super Bowl, man. How crazy was it here?
It was phenomenal. It really was. And I'm going to say this. We had the first rock star Super Bowl, in my opinion, because of the personalities we had. When you look at those personalities, right off the bat, it's sweetness. It's Walter Payton. And then it's the punky QB. It's Jim McMahon. And then it just goes down there from, Samurai Mike to William Perry, the refrigerator, to the Big O, Otis Wilson. I mean, everybody goes right down the line to the very, very bottom of us, and we all had nicknames. We all had our own persona. And then of all things to do, you lose a game to Miami, your only loss on Monday night. You fly back home. You land the plane at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then a group of the guys show up at a studio, and they produce the Super Bowl Shuffle.
So the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I got to ask a question real quick.
I thought you were going to do this. Call me sweetness because I like to dance.
Since we're talking about Bears, I got to ask you the Bears question. When you look at the situation, things have changed.
Yes.
Your thoughts on Ben Johnson and the situation in Chicago?
I think I love what they did. First and foremost, they had to do something with the quarterback position, okay? The biggest thing, and I don't think people understand this is a quarterback-driven league. If you got a quarterback, you got a chance to be here, okay? They went out, they drafted Caleb in the first round. A couple things didn't happen the way they needed to happen last year, so they went out and they found a guy that has had success coaching quarterbacks. I think that's a great move. Now we're going to find out whether or not this is the right quarterback. I mean, Ben Johnson's record, what he did in Detroit, stands alone. I mean, you look at how Jared Goff has played the last few years under Ben's direction, it tells you that Caleb's got an opportunity. obviously he's got to have a plan. You know, when we were in Carolina, we drafted Cam Newton in the first round. Our plan was basically this: identify your quarterback, protect your quarterback, put playmakers around your quarterback, have a protection plan in terms of how you run your offense. Run the football, use play action, have a protection plan for blitz pickups. Then you have a stout defense around them that's going to create opportunities for your offense to succeed. If you have that plan and that's what you do, and you got up in front of the ownership and told them this is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, they've got their guy. And I believe they do. I really think Ben Johnson's going to come through. I think Caleb is going to have an opportunity to reset. He now understands a little bit. Hopefully he's got a little bit more humility. And one of the things that I would have told, I would make sure Caleb understands is when you get knocked down, don't lay on the ground like you did in the Detroit game. Get your butt up. And if you go to the sideline, don't slump in your chair. And I'm going to tell you why. The only time I ever saw a guy named Walter Payton ever slump was when we were on the airplane flying home. That's the only time you could tell he was sore. And when he used to come to the sideline and Freddie Cato, the head trainer, would come over and he'd say, "What's wrong?" And he'd start rubbing Walter's left shoulder. And Walter would go, no, rub my right shoulder. I want them to know it's my left shoulder.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's what it's about. And I think that's what you need to understand. When you're coming, you're going to be a Chicago Bear, there's a certain grit that you need to have. And I'm hoping that's what this young man has learned and now understands what it takes, because I really do think Caleb Williams can be a solid winning football quarterback in Chicago in this NFL league.
All right, Coach, before we wrap up real quick, who you like on Sunday?
Well, you know what? First of all, I'd love to see history. I'd love to see a three-peat. I really would. I'm pulling for Andy just because I started my coaching career, my full-time career with Andy. I started with the Bears. I was a quality control coach my first 2 years, but then Andy gave me my first positional coaching job, and because of that, I got the opportunity to be where I am today as a football coach in the NFL. So, with that, it's just hard for me to cheer against Andy. I coached in Philadelphia. I love Philly. But I honestly, I'd love to see history. I really would. I think that would be really cool.
All right, we'll see history on the table. And Ron knows about winning a championship here in New Orleans. He's here. Salute to service presented by USAA. Great cause, great guy, great show. We're going to hit a break. We come back. We got more of the new crew coming in. But for now, he's Jared Payton. I'm Chris Hagan. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for coming. I'm just excited to have you.
All right.
I'm pretty much ready to rock.
I'm ready.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. Once again, joining you live from Radio Row here as we are counting down to kickoff Super Bowl 59. Simone, Eli, Rod, Carter. A first chance to get to host the show together. We've been running around town
Good to be here.
for the last several days.
Hope everybody's doing great. Man, what an atmosphere.
It's incredible.
What an incredible
it's
atmosphere.
so
in
fun.
here.
And it's fun to see it through the eyes of someone who, obviously, I cover sports, you cover news.
Very
and
different.
So we kind of blend these two worlds together. And I'm like, hey, there's Pat McAfee. You're like, hey, who's Pat McAfee?
Yeah,
and you're like,
okay,
hey,
great.
here's this,
Love
some,
that guy.
and you're like, hey, here's some, representative of something. I'm like, oh,
Right.
okay, yeah, that guy. So,
But you know what? The one person we both knew? The Old Spice guy.
the Old Spice guy and the ones, yes, Old Spice guy.
Even without the horse, we both were like, hey, that's the Old Spice guy.
Exactly. And we'll have video of our very,
Oh, yeah,
very,
that's fun.
very tough competition of which I was really, I impressed myself, not going to lie. Football throwing competition.
Well. You did well.
We have video
You
of
did
that
well.
coming up a little bit later in the show. But we are going to give you really a taste of what it looks like behind the scenes here at Radio Row all throughout the day. Some really, really cool features and some special things that they have with patients from the local hospital who are able to
Absolutely.
experience things here at Radio Row.
Technology at its best,
Man,
right? They're
it's
kind of
so
roaming
special.
around the area showing all of the kids who
Yes.
can't be here
Yes.
what this experience is like, which is really awesome.
Yes. And we are so excited to introduce our first guest of this show.
Can I say it?
You
Can
know
I say who he is?
You know what? You can bring it in.
You
can
say his name, and I'll tell you his title.
Mark Romig. And this guy, if you know the name, you might not know the name, but you know the voice.
And let me tell you, because the Romics are royalty. I
Yes.
said I was going to say that.
Yes, I love it.
Mark Romick is not only the voice of the Saints, the stadium announcer for the Saints, but he's also on the host committee. And you guys have put together an amazing experience here. It's been 6 years of planning this. Tell me how things are going so far.
A lot of planning, a lot of great volunteers, a lot of great professionals that know what they're doing because this is our 11th time hosting the Super Bowl. We're tied with Miami, and it is an amazing experience to get us to this point.
Yeah.
So first of all, welcome to New Orleans.
Thank
We're
you.
so
Thank
happy
you.
to have
Thank
you all
you.
here. This is the big week.
Yes.
And there's so much going on. Last night was the media party. Things were moving a little slow this morning because it was a late night, but
Gee,
as you
wonder
can
why.
tell,
Yeah.
it is alive and kicking here at Radio Row.
Well, listen, they can speak for themselves when it comes to who enjoyed the media party because Rod and I were hard at work all evening, so
I
we
heard
didn't even
you
get
were
to enjoy
upstairs.
it. It was
There.
not fair at all, but we're so.
But it was fun.
It was super
It was
fun.
fun,
We did hear the party behind
Yeah.
us while we were going live. Mark, you mentioned 6 years of
Yeah.
planning. Okay, I didn't even realize it was that long. So 6 years of planning. I mean, when this first just came to fruition that, hey, okay, this is going to be here in New Orleans, like, what's the first conversation? Like, hey, let's go get coffee. We're at the local Starbucks, and we're going to talk about,
well,
where
we're
games
here
at the Superdome.
because
Yeah.
we've got the New Orleans Saints in
Sure,
town,
yeah.
right?
Right.
So Mrs. Gail Benson, the owner, and the entire Saints organization put their entire weight behind making sure that the host committee can be stood up. You know, there's fundraising to do. Entergy, our founding partner, stood up for us, and we just started putting the pieces together. There's a lot to go on with this. There's everything from the logistics of this beautiful Radio Row at the Convention Center to all of the production of events, parties, receptions, working with security. You know, this is a very big event, and we've got the best minds there.
Yeah.
And making sure that the city was going to be ready. There were 400 infrastructure projects that were to be completed by
That's
this
a
week.
lot of work.
But you know what's good about that is that the city then is prepared for the next generation, right? So a
Absolutely.
lot of good things were happening because the Super Bowl was coming.
And Mark, it's interesting because you said there's a lot of work. So you have one big committee and like, what, 20
We
subcommittees?
got 20
was it?
plus
Yeah.
subcommittees working, meeting on a regular basis. And what's good about it, too, is that many of the individuals involved in those committees have done previous Super Bowls here.
Yeah.
They're locals. They know the routine. And it's a big team, a big team that works together. So
Okay, I've got to ask, for somebody who watches the Saints and covers, I mean, I shouldn't say cover the Saints, but you are the voice of the Saints.
man.
Well, number one, before I even ask you my question, I want to hear like a first down call or a touchdown call or like whatever.
touchdown, sir!
I love it. I mean, I feel like I'm literally in the Superdome
Like we're at
right
the
now.
game,
Oh
right?
my
I love
gosh.
this. I love
That was iconic.
Thank
he
you.
He did that right on cue. He didn't even have any prep.
Somebody
man.
was asking me the other
I
day,
have some
do
water. Do you
I
need
just
water?
push a button? And I said, no, those are all live calls.
And so
Man.
what I love, though, is that it really is a family affair. I mean,
Yeah.
your sister is in front giving you all the
My
calls.
sister's my spotter.
thought
She
that- yeah.
spotted from my dad was the announcer before me. He
No,
was there for
seriously.
44 years.
Oh, wow.
446 consecutive games. He never missed a game, starting
I
back
love
in
this.
the old
Love
Tulane
it.
Stadium.
wow.
He then moved over to the Superdome when the Saints moved to the Superdome, and went through Katrina when the Saints played their home games out of town.
Yeah.
The Saints took Dad with them so that they would get the hometown
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
And he finished serving in that role at the preseason of 2013, and then I picked it up then. So this was my 12th year.
12th year.
Yeah.
That is amazing. What is it like from your perspective to see, you know what the day-to-day looks like when it's covering the
Right.
Saints and doing the Saints
Yeah.
games, but now you have, worldwide media. This is, it's crazy, and we're preparing for two teams that aren't neither one of the Saints, much to the probably unhappiness of New Orleans, but how cool
Exactly,
is it just
yeah.
to see this trying to play out?
This is wonderful. Of
Yeah.
course, the Saints aren't in the Super Bowl this year, and there's always hope for the next next game. But we're just so proud. We've got a great game coming on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
these two iconic brands, historic one way or the other. It's Saquon Barkley's birthday. If the Chiefs
Man.
should win, it's their three-peat. The great storylines are coming together, and if you've been inside the Mercedes, oops.
Listen, I
You've
did
been here a
that
while.
a few times. Yeah.
You've been here a
I
while.
was there
It's
for so long
understandable.
with
Yeah.
the Caesar Superdome.
Yes, yeah.
Uh,
Tongue twister, by the way,
it
because I
is
messed
a-
that up at least
Right,
twice
Caesar
yesterday.
Superdome.
Yes.
Caesar
It is a complete renovation.
Yeah.
This building is now 50 years old, but now the Caesar Superdome looks like it could have been built yesterday
Yeah.
with the work that has happened on the inside.
Yeah.
So it's just a marvelous time, and we're so proud. It's bringing the community together. It's a statewide effort.
Yep.
From the governor to the mayor to the parishes or the counties that surround us. Everyone's pulling on the same side of the rope.
Who runs the in-studio voice of the Super Bowl?
It is a gentleman that the NFL has brought to past several Super Bowls.
Okay.
I have never met him, but
Okay.
he's got a voice that I am very envious of. It's fantastic.
Well, he must be pretty
But he's,
impressive because you're pretty
you'll-
impressive
I'm
yourself.
literally
so.
envious of
You'll
yours.
well, thank you, but you'll recognize his voice when you hear it either watching it on television
Okay.
or in the stadium.
Very cool.
A tremendous talent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I look forward to meeting him one day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
that's
cool.
going to be awesome. You know what? Before we even let you go, we got to let you say happy birthday to somebody special.
Thank you. My mother, Janice Romig,
I
who went to
love
every
it.
one of those 446
Yep.
games that my dad attended,
Man.
will be 93 tomorrow.
Oh, such a
Happy
blessing.
birthday.
Yeah,
That
she,
is so special.
She is fantastic.
Yeah.
She's the matriarch.
Yes.
She drives her car to mass every morning.
Love
Oh
it.
my goodness!
Yeah.
Look at y'all. This
The
I just
matriarch
love
of the
that.
Romic royalty.
We
I'm
are
telling
in
you,
the
I'm stuck
presence
on
of
that.
royalty, Rod. I mean, we
his-
really are.
And I don't know if you know, his brother has the longest serving employee for
Yeah,
the Saints,
Jay has
too,
been with
right?
the Saints for 48 years. He's the administrative director. He's been there 48 years.
Man.
And
That's a long time.
The
it's
history
a
run- yeah,
passion.
it
it's a
runs
passion
deep.
project for the family.
Man, listen,
Well,
Mr.
listen,
Romick, we
thank
are
you.
honored. Thank you for the pin.
Yeah.
I'm excited to sport
Yeah,
that
you've
throughout
got
the
the,
week,
the
and
official
so
host
yes,
got
I have my
that.
purse.
It's so
yes,
nice.
absolutely.
And thank
Sir,
you, and we look
thank
forward
you
to seeing
so
the
much.
Caesar Superdome this weekend.
Yes, we
That's
cannot
right.
wait to be there at the
All
Caesar
right.
Superdome.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
Such a
sir.
pleasure.
I appreciate your
Enjoy
time.
it.
You guys have done a fantastic job.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Well, we
Everything is
hope to
going-
be able to
going
come
very
back
well.
and say it's our 12th time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
love that.
Exactly. You
love
got to beat
that.
Miami, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're
Thank
just
you.
getting started, guys, here on the show. We have so much more to come, several guests, a lot of behind-the-scenes action that Rod and I are going to kind of unveil to you here on the broadcast. And so stick around. Coming up next, we're going to hear from some folks with some really cool technology, hear some folks who know all the information about the ticket sales.
Oh, yeah.
And we know this is a hot ticket, guys. I think it was $5,000 or something crazy last time I saw it. So
Yeah. Thank goodness we got media.
we have a pass.
Yeah.
I can't show it to you because
Yeah.
you can't have it.
But
anyway.
it looks like this.
It looks like this, and my face is on, so don't try to take a picture of it.
right. Stop,
I ain't trying to
stop,
get kicked out. All right, guys, we'll be right back. Chip's telling us to go to
right,
break. Back here on Big Game Bound, Rod Carter, Simone Eli, joining you live from Radio Row, the hoopla of Super Bowl 59.
Yep.
How's it been treating you, man?
You know what? It's great. I mean, I literally just had to walk by the Bounty wing display because I kept going.
Yeah,
but it smells so good.
We're going to double back. We're going to double back here in a minute. Yes, no doubt, guys. We told you a minute ago that we're going to have several guests on this show. We're so excited to be chatting with one guy who knows all the ins and outs of the ticket sales behind everything here.
This is the most important guy.
Yes.
You got to get in here, right?
It absolutely is.
Adam Budelli, thank you so much with StubHub. Your spokesperson, been there how long? 8 years?
8 years.
Okay.
So tell me about planning for a massive event like this.
Yeah, something like the Super Bowl, this is a year in the making, and a lot of it really just starts and stems with the idea of like trust and safety.
Sure.
How do you make sure and vouch every single ticket that comes on your site is 100% valid? And you know that's something that you review last year's sellers, and so like I can't even go on my own website. Or no, I don't know the company.
I was going to ask him for some concert tickets. So apparently he's trying to already tell us he can't make that happen. Come on, Adam. Hook us
We'll talk about that, right?
But yeah, so we vet every single ticket that comes on, and that comes with the idea of like, look, if you're spending $7,300, which is the current average ticket price sold on StubHub for this game.
Wait, back up. $7,300.
Okay, when I looked at this ticket price a couple weeks ago, I think it was like $5,600 was like the lowest that I could get. So what have the ticket sales done since we got the teams and knew who it was going to be, and until now, as we're just a few days out from the game, what has that fluctuation been like, so to speak?
Yeah. So we always say, actually wait. The first 48 hours after teams clinch, whether that's here or even like another sport, that's actually one of the highest demand times. So you want to wait a little bit. We're in a sweet spot right now, actually. So $7,300 is the average ticket price sold. That's actually 16% down when compared to last year in Vegas.
Okay.
And the get-in price, I know it's hard to say, is more approachable, but it actually is. Right now, to get in the door for a single ticket, it's actually under $3,000.
Oh.
That never happened last year.
Okay.
It's in line with what we saw a little bit during midweek 2 years ago in Arizona. So in the realm of Super Bowl, like this is actually a pretty good time to actually pull the trigger and buy if it falls within your budget.
So tell me this. You've been with StubHub for a while now. When you see certain teams are going to make it, are behind the scenes, are y'all like, hey, we want to see such and such make it because they travel well? Or is there, the Chiefs, for instance, have been in this game how many times? A lot of times. I mean, they're playing for their third straight. They won 2 years before that even. So what's it like for that fan base in terms of traveling, buying tickets? And have you seen it with certain fan bases? Has it become old hat? Is it something, what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on the head. 7 straight AFC Championship games.
Yeah.
Look at the prices that we saw in Kansas City versus Philadelphia.
Sure.
Right.
They were drastically different.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know specifics,
so,
but hey, if the Bills are in it, I would assure you that the get-in price would not be.
It really does depend on who
no
that
question.
is.
It really depends. Proximity to travel. Last year, we could say a lot of the tickets were driven by the 49er fans. There was 1 million flights an hour and a half away. A lot more hotels. So when you think about ticketing prices, a lot of it also takes into account how much your hotel room is. How are you able to get there?
Exactly.
So that's kind of why I think where we are. But there is precedent, and probably what we're expecting is more and more people get into town over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
That's where we think prices actually might start going up.
Very cool.
Security, too, is a big issue because you want to make sure you guard against people getting fake tickets. How do you handle that? What's your process on that?
Yeah, we can't get into all the specifics.
Well, I can't get into details.
I can assure you
let me
that,
take notes while you I'm just kidding.
Every ticket, though, that's listed on our site has been approved through a separate team. Another big thing is just education-wise. We all used to the paper tickets back in the day, but with the change to mobile-only tickets, that's kind of helped with a lot of this and being able to understand that paper trail from the NFL and try to be good stewards to make sure that, look, end of the day, as cliche as it is, like our goal is to make sure that from the time they search, they actually just get in the game, and then from there, hey, root for your team, hope for a good game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up, Adam, I want to ask you, what would your advice be to somebody who hasn't purchased a ticket yet, and they are kind of searching the interwebs right now and want to make sure that it's valid and make sure they can get into the game?
Yeah, whether on StubHub or not, I mean, always use a trusted source. There's many different ways to verify that, but there's a lot of ticket marketplaces that aren't really well trusted. So you want to make sure there's a fan protect guarantee. They have partners. You're spending potentially $7,000.
Yeah.
That's a big piece, and make sure you're using a credit card. But the good news is, look, we always focus on the get-in price, but some of the best deals right now are actually in that 200 level or the 100 level kind of end zone seats.
Right.
Where that price point from the get-in to there is only another $1,000. So if this is a bucket list event, we've had buyers from 17 countries from the United States. Like, there's actually a lot of room to move up, down below than just kind of being, hey, I'm in the 600 level.
Can you say how many tickets have sold so far? Like,
we don't share that, unfortunately, but we have sold 12.
Rod's asking all the hard-hitting questions.
12% more tickets so far
I knew the answer
than last year. Yeah,
12%.
During the same window last year, we've sold 12% more.
Okay, so it is.
I see. Okay.
And there's 15,000 more tickets than last year. So again, there's a few different factors that help make it. Again, I hate saying affordable because I understand.
Right.
You know,
Sure. Well,
less financially challenging.
Some folks looking forward to seeing Super Bowl 59, no question about that. But Adam Badali, thank you so much for StubHub. We appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Great talking with you, my friend.
If you're trying to buy a ticket, make sure it's a trusted source
Legit.
like StubHub. Good information there, Rod, for sure. Love
Thank
that,
you.
Adam. Thank you so much. All right, next up on the show, guys, we're going to bring some folks in and some folks virtually as well.
know.
So this is like the coolest thing ever. Y'all, come on over here. Yes, absolutely. And Harry, go ahead and take that headset right there, if you will.
Hi, Kamaran.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right, Kamaran.
this,
Okay.
yeah.
And I'm gonna have you put on that headset there. If that.
Hey, I just put
All
up
right.
the Skycam little shot just so people
this
can
is-
see what is
Okay,
happening back
so
here.
let me tell you, one of the most special things that I have seen, probably in the history of
fantastic.
covering sports in 15 years, maybe in any capacity at all. But this is Harry Gilmer, and Harry Gilmer is with Ochsner. It's a local hospital, right? And he kind of has helped make this happen, and this is so incredibly special. What we're seeing here is a robot that is actually operated by a patient at Ochsner Children's Hospital here locally. And it is incredible because these patients are getting to witness Radio Row all of Super Bowl.
fantastic.
In
with a
fact, here, I'm
first-hand
moving
view.
the camera and zooming. Our
Yes.
patient is
Look at
now
this.
on the live
Kamaran.
stream.
Come on.
Can you see us?
I want to see. Kamaran, I know that you're.
There
Hey,
you
I'm
are.
gonna move this mic over here for a
Yeah,
minute.
go
guys.
ahead, try. Just
Can you say hello? To
Can you say hi for us?
yep.
Oh, we hear you great. How are you enjoying the experience?
We've got to see so far. What's it been like?
This is good. This is good.
Cool.
Have you seen some of your favorite players or folks out there?
I'm not sure how well he.
Yeah, he's been able to see a bunch of players and meet and
Yeah.
talk with them.
Yeah.
Been a part of the Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah, and we
booth they got over
look.
there.
I mean, there's several. We
Oh,
can
I
bring.
love
We can
it.
bring
Yeah,
over the other ones. I mean, this
Harry,
is.
how many do you have roaming around?
So at any given time, we have about 4 or 5 patients promoted into the robots, kind of taking in the experience.
yeah.
So we have 8 total here. We
Okay.
also have.
Okay.
Is this the first year you've been able to do this?
This is
or
the
have you-
first time for us.
Yeah.
Our partner, Omni Robot Labs, they're the ones that brought it to us. They did it again. They did it before in Super Bowl 57 in Arizona.
Yeah.
And they called us and said, hey, the NFL would like to bring us back. Are you interested in doing it? And of course, we love to do anything we can do to help our patients out and kind of make their experiences, while they're in the hospital as better as much as we can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chip, I know we have some video. If you can run and kind of show us what this kind of looked like. I had a firsthand experience earlier, and it was really, really cool just to see the Nickelodeon characters kind of interacting with the patients. And here, how special is that for you guys to really just see this
that's
come to
great.
fruition, man? I mean, it is really, really neat.
That's awesome. And when you were filming that, Cam Jordan was interacting with that patient at the time. We thought that was fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. She's
And what,
wonderful.
What are the patients telling you about how much this means
Oh,
to
they're
them?
loving it. We've been here. So we did the kickoff on Monday night, and we were here yesterday as well. They just love the interaction. We had 2 kids. We couldn't get them off the robots at all. And
They're like, hey, man, no. Like, I'm not going to share this. They're like, I've been on this for 3 hours, but no, I'm not passing this to the next person. I love it.
It's amazing just to see the smiles on their faces, and when they get to interact with some of the players. I mean, they're just.
And we have that video. I know that you have that. Mark Ingram, former Alabama standout Heisman winner. Roll Tide. And you're from Mobile.
Yes,
That's where I
indeed.
work. So I got to love that. My guy Harry, South Mobile County represent. But check this out, guys. Yeah, Mark Ingram. This was so neat. And I think that one of the patients were saying, hey, sign something for me. Can you sign something? Like, sign this jersey. And I think they were like, hold on a minute. I'm not sure if you're allowed to sign it. Regardless, this was so neat, though. And it was what an amazing experience because, honestly, I mean, a lot of these children, probably have not left the hospital in how long? And can you give us any statistics or what those numbers look like for these patients who?
I really am the last person
yes,
to ask on that, but they range. We got some people who just finished surgery. We got some that's been in long term. We actually were able to get some of our clinic patients in there as well on opening night. So we kept our clinic open longer so they can come in and meet some of the players and stuff like that.
Amazing,
so.
amazing.
How long has the hospital been open?
Oh, Oshner?
Long time.
I think we just had our, they're going to.
Oh, I'm getting in trouble.
It's probably over 75 years.
Yeah. Where exactly is it located for people who are not?
So we're all over Southeast Louisiana and North Louisiana as well, and also in
know.
Mississippi and Texas as well.
So these patients specifically, are they at a certain?
These right here, they're in between Baton Rouge and our Jefferson Highway location here in New Orleans.
Okay, so we have a couple different locations. Very very neat.
Absolutely.
And what's the feedback been? What have you heard from? Just maybe away from.
It's been
all
positive.
Of this,
so we do a debrief afterwards, and we meet with our clinicians, and their responses. So the families and the patients, it's just been an amazing experience for all of them. And every day they keep like, we can do more, and then we're just so excited to be able to bring this joy to them while they're during this difficult time.
And isn't it amazing that the technology is able to do this for these young people?
We can't thank our partners more than enough. Omni, who builds the robots, and of course Verizon. They're keeping our connection during this very busy environment and event going on right now. So they've been partners with us by our sides the whole time.
Right.
The Omni's sitting over there, making sure everything's working like it should. So.
Lots of people behind the scenes, guys. I saw them taking some pictures, and
a lot of people at the hospital behind the scenes sitting with the patients.
Yes.
We got technicians sitting with them as well as the clinicians.
So what are those next few days going into the game? Is it more of Radio Row? Are there other events? Can you shed some light on what it's going to look like?
Tomorrow we have an individual that's going to be taking 2 robots to the NFL award ceremony at Sanger Theater.
Wow.
So we'll have 2 of those with one person there with them.
Man, how cool is that?
That is
amazing.
Yeah, so excited about that.
So they're going to have front row seat of
absolutely.
And what so deserving for those children, and what wonderful work you guys are doing. I mean, I just hats off. I have chills just thinking about how special that is. Look at it waving.
Now, is that Kamaran's mom there as well?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes,
amazing.
Mom's enjoyed it too.
Absolutely, family, everybody.
Yes.
That's
my goodness.
But they're also going to be experiencing the Super Bowl experience. So they're going to be doing that both Friday and Saturday, and the parade.
Yeah.
We got front row seats at Gallier Hall for the parade as well, and then they will be pregame on the field as the teams are warming up as well. So
that is so awesome.
Man.
I mean, that's an experience that
nobody
don't
it's
get.
Priceless. It's priceless.
Exactly.
It is truly priceless. Well, what incredible work you guys are doing, Rod. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just so excited to see them. How many of these do you have in the hall now? You said
we got 8 total. We're running about 4 or 3 at any given time. So we're rotating patients out if we can get them off of it. That's really our biggest challenge we have is get them to share with others.
Well, I mean, if you've ever been, everyone's been in the hospital at some point for some reason. And even the short trips when you're only there for a day or two, and you're just feeling like the walls are closing in on you, and to be able to bring the outside world and something kind of chaotic as crazy as Super Bowl week, but into the hospital for those children is
just a wonderful change of pace for them. They don't have to think about
to break away
their
current situation and kind of escape for a while.
And to see the stars and people interacting. And hats off to the Mark Ingrams and the others of the world who are like, hey, I want to take a moment to interact with these children because
that's been
awesome.
amazing.
Yes.
Every single player around there's been great.
Yeah.
They're going out of their ways. We got players chasing us down.
Oh my gosh.
We're out here seeking them. They're seeking us.
Yeah.
That's what it's going. So every single player that got out here has been amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Harry Gilmer, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Especially Alabama, and I appreciate that as well. Roll Tide, no question.
Hey, I lived in Alabama too, remember?
Yeah.
I actually just got my master's from Alabama a month ago, so roll Tide.
I'm actually from Ohio, but I work in Alabama, so it's all good. But, man, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much, truly, for just shedding some light on this. And, wow, hats off and kudos to the people who are doing such amazing work there at Oshner, the Omni folks who are doing all the technology part of this, and then just those beautiful children who are getting this wonderful opportunity. We are so grateful for your time on this show, and man, I just feel fortunate to be able to have that conversation.
Thank you for coming, Kamaran.
And wow, absolutely amazing. Right, I almost like, I don't know. And part of me is,
it gives you chills. Harry, thank you.
I literally have chills just seeing these children walking around and how special it is to see them get into smiles on their faces.
And they get an experience something that they may not have gotten to experience before. And, it really makes a huge difference. And their parents can see them smiling.
Well, I think
it makes them happy.
I think that you have to tip your hat to the people that that won't allow someone to say we can't make this happen. Because like, all these kids here is that you can't do this. You can't go here. You can't have too many people in your room. You can't. And someone said,
yes, you can.
We're going to build a robot and we're going to take them to this event.
And you're going to go to everything in the Super Bowl.
Special, man.
That's fantastic.
It's special.
It's
I absolutely
incredible.
love it. Guys, listen, we have so much more to come. It was only
We'll take a little break.
half hour. It flew by, though. It flew by. We've got more interviews to come. We've got so much more. Credit to our guy, Chip Brewster, behind the scenes, making the magic happen. Chip, put the camera on you. Where are you at, dog?
Well, I didn't want to, interrupt the flow that was going on there.
Well, don't interrupt the flow, but at least let's say hello.
No, there's my man. So
Chip.
I love the second hour of these live streams because, I can contribute. Rod, you were talking about, I'm not a sports guy either.
Right.
And so the first hour of this is so sports. I know. You were sitting here, you're like, did you record that interview? That was an awesome interview.
I know.
And so, at the second hour when we start talking about, hey, the experience of being at the Super Bowl, this is where I feel like I could actually add some stuff. So what's great is coming up in the next half hour, we're going to go through Simone's experience. She wandered around Radio Row quite a bit. But Mark was talking about the media party. I did make a stop at the media party last night.
Oh, well,
and
some
so
of us were on duty.
I got a little video for you.
Okay.
I did that for you.
Okay. He
You're
worked
welcome.
for us.
And so, not everybody gets to go to that thing. So anyone out there that is interested,
I don't need to take any strays over here, okay? I don't need to take these shots. Thank you.
But I've got I got one. It was very unique, is what I will say, event that I witnessed, and I'll bring that to you guys and everyone out there as well.
I cannot
wait for this.
Guys, stick right here. We'll be back in 60 seconds. You're on Big
Welcome
Game
back, welcome back.
Simone Eli, Rod Carter, welcoming you in, and our guy Chip Brewster behind the scenes.
Chip.
Hello.
I don't have to be behind the scenes. I have my own camera.
Actually, listen,
I even have a light.
I saw you move that around to make sure your lighting was perfect.
You look fantastic.
Yeah, you do.
You look fantastic.
The flow is flowing.
Thank you.
Fun.
It's hard with these headsets, I'll tell you that.
It's not that hard, really.
What's cool, though, also about the second hour is that it's way looser.
Yeah.
So we just did a sort of tease of all these different elements, and we can pick whatever we want to do. So what do we want to show off?
In a moment, we're going to have a really great live interview. Before we go to that, though, I want to kind of give a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to just go out here and kind of
hang out.
Take off your media hat and just kind of let it loose.
Okay.
So sometimes you run into folks like the Old Spice guy. Okay.
Okay.
Who I may or may not have called the bounty guy at least 3 times because we were at the bounty setup. Wait until Austin Kellerman said, "That's the Old Spice guy." And listen,
it's funny.
I don't wear Old Spice.
Neither do I, but I recognized it even without the horse.
Okay, so we're about to. Here's Old Spice guy, and
he kind of stands
ripped.
out when he does not have on a shirt.
Yes, he's ripped. Even the vein. I asked him, I'm like, "Hey man, are you comfortable?" He said, "Absolutely not." I'm like, "Okay."
So when I was talking to him, I was like, "What's his experience like?" He said he'd been to these experiences before. So what's it like for you? And he's like, you could have these stars, these players walk by you and have on a baseball. You have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
And he's like, until they walk by, you're like, hey, wait, that wasn't. And I go, so I bet people know exactly who you are. And he's like, it's kind of hard not to wearing his outfit, right?
And so we were over at the Bounty area. So Bounty and Old Spice are like same program, same company.
Yeah.
And so I was calling him Bounty Man. And Austin Kellerman was like, he's Old Spice Man.
What did he say?
He just kind of rolled with it. He didn't even correct me. He didn't even correct me. So I kept calling him that until I called him Old Spice Guy. But Old Spice Man and I went one-on-one in a football competition. Do we have some video of this?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to flex really quick. Y'all, because look at this place. Of course, I'm talking trash because naturally.
Do you want to hear yourself, or do you just want to talk over it?
No, I want to hear it.
No.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Good point. Where's your cane? I don't think you look just fine without your cane right now.
He's trying to say he's not going to be very good if he's got a cane.
Fumble already. He's already fumbled.
The idea is to throw it, not catch it.
He's nervous right now.
All right, watch this, Rod.
I'm waiting.
Definitely will let
Okay. So,
No, you go first.
for reference, I try to go to the one to the right, on the right side at first. It's 100 points, a little bit closer. But then I start having some decent success over on the left. You'll see this take place in a moment. And here we go. So,
Did you guys have a bet?
no, it's just trash talk.
Oh,
just like bragging rights.
Okay,
bragging rights was the bet. And so now I would like everyone to also know that I'm wearing stilettos over here. Okay, so
You
I'm
didn't take
doing
'em
this. No, I didn't take them off. I mean, I could have shown off my pedicure, but people might have gotten too excited
Good
about
point.
that. So
Just throw the ball, Simone. That's
well,
all.
they
Just
had
come
to
on,
wait.
throw the
They
ball.
had to wait until I had the timer started. So here we go. Watch.
Oh.
Actually started early. So here we go.
Oh,
All right,
I see.
so
I see.
Here we go.
Oh, that's fancy.
I know. But
That
you can
is
look at how
fancy.
cute my hair looks though for a minute. All right. So
It's amazing.
Watch this. So I actually started throwing because I thought we were supposed to go, but we hadn't even started yet. So at first I'm like, all right, too much strength. But just wait. Now we're supposed to be starting. Here we go. Watch this.
Uh-huh.
Boom.
Oh.
Okay. Y'all better hype me. Y'all better.
Got one. I mean, I saw one. Oh, that's two.
Y'all.
Okay. All right.
So he's talking a little bit of
Three.
trash.
Ooh.
Okay, dude, I was killing it,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Okay, y'all. I mean, who you think? I ain't no
Whoa.
fool. I mean,
oh, my gosh, Simone.
you guys.
You needed to warm up.
I mean, that was it right there. I mean, that was just off the cuff. So anyways, go over to Gold Spice, guys.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
eventually,
let's bring
then
him
he
in.
goes straight out. Now he's at first he's struggling, and I am just talking all types of trash.
Yeah.
Turn up the audio up on that chip.
Whoever your photographer is, they're covering your microphone with their hand.
That's Kellerman. That's Kellerman.
He just
Sometime-
hit a groove.
So, okay.
Oh, dang.
Kellerman.
Oh, dang. Oh, he was
So-
like side arming it, right?
Yeah, and that one
he's
was
feeling you.
500. Anyways, guys, so he beat me by hardly.
Yes.
by hardly anything at all. And listen, we had a heck of a time though. It was so much fun. And
Yeah.
so I know I had to show off the to flex a little
Yeah,
bit.
this is
Can
why
you
I
at
don't.
least
This
pump
is
me
why I
up,
don't
Rod?
do that because.
Can you at least pump me up and say that was pretty good?
You were amazing.
You were better than I would have been.
Yeah.
I can tell you that,
That-
much.
that is
and
not a- that is not a
twice as twice as good as
Twice
I
as
would have
good
been.
as Rod
So, yeah,
would've
there
been.
you go.
I'm just gonna say that's not a compliment. So
No,
I
it
appreciate
is.
that.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
It is.
I accept
Wait,
that.
you did it in stilettos.
I did do it in
He had on
stilettos.
sneakers.
That I did do.
Or
I did do it in
boat shoes
stilettos.
or something.
What did you say?
Boat shoes or
But
something.
what was he wearing? Was he
I
wearing?
don't know.
What are those called?
All I see was the shawl.
Sperry's.
There you go.
Sperry's. Something like that. Guys, okay, enough of
know.
me throwing a football here.
Oh,
on
Spice is gone. Let's talk about something
yes,
new. Great.
Yes,
Fantastic.
where we have our live interview rocking and rolling, and we are so excited, Rod, to introduce our next guest. my man.
Zaylene,
Yes.
hi,
Thank you for
welcome.
having.
Welcome,
I want to
welcome,
do. That was good.
I know,
Okay.
right?
You did great.
And you know what? Thank you for hyping me.
There we
Women,
go. I
listen,
like it.
other
What
women,
are Chip and I?
other
We
women
literally
hype
have been
women.
hyping you up since you walked
See,
out.
this is what
I
happens.
got you.
Guys,
I got you.
They
I got
get
you.
jealous and they don't want to give you your flowers. But then when you have
Okay.
people
Oh, my
like
God.
Zaylene,
Cut her
they
mic.
come in.
Cut her mic.
Off the rails. Let's focus on Zaylene, shall we?
Thank you.
Zaylene.
You're with Bay Area Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Yes,
Bay Area
so
Host Committee.
She is
We're up next.
She
Yeah.
is
We're up
the
next.
lady. Yes.
Oh.
Zaylene, but tell me how to pronounce your last name for me.
Jad Mohammed.
Jad
You
Mohammed.
can call
okay.
me Z though.
Yes.
Everyone calls me
We're
Z.
gonna call
I
her
like
Z.
Z.
Yeah.
Yes. Z, I know I was walking around a little bit and saw so many people from your staff, and we saw a wonderful setup that you guys had. And I know that there's a lot of hands-on work right now, but the work really began long before right now to set up next year's Super Bowl. Peel back the curtain a little bit on what that's looked like for you.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I can't believe that I'm here with just being a year out because
Right.
you're right that the process
Yeah.
is so long. It starts with a bid, and the bid is, hundreds of pages of requirements that you're basically trying to read through and be like, yes, can we do that? Can we do that?
Yeah.
The most interesting part that gave me like the most goosebumps, heart racing, etc., is you actually go present to all of the NFL owners. So
Wow.
there's a big room that you walk in, all 32 owners with their
What was that like for you?
entourage
Yeah.
there, the commissioners there, and you're presenting why you think your city should host a Super Bowl and how you think you're gonna,
It's
help
like the
them grow
biggest
the
pitch ever.
Yeah, and so I walked into that room and I could feel my heart just outside of my chest beating, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. And then you do it, it's like 5 minutes, maybe 10 max, and it's over just like this. You leave the room, they vote. And
Right
then-
there?
Right there. So you leave the room.
I had no idea it was done immediately.
Immediately, and then, the owners are there. So our owners at the Niners, the Yorks, are
Is
there.
in there selling it like everything
And
they
so
got.
then, there's a vote, everyone votes, and then you get, in our case, you get chosen. I think the owners then say thank you, and then they bring you back in to say congratulations. And still that doesn't feel real because you literally had gone through such an intense process just to be
To
with
get
us
there,
So then you kind of have to put your head up. You're like, oh my God, we just won the Super Bowl.
Yes, seriously. So is that at that point, did you get to breathe a sigh of relief? Or was it when you walked out of the room or when you got the, hey, we're doing this?
And how long did that sigh last? About 5 minutes?
Maybe not even. So you walk out of the room, you do a ton of media, right, to celebrate your city. You get a ton of local media from the Bay or wherever city you are, right? They're calling you. They're like, tell me how it feels, what's happening. And then I think you have dinner. Might have a glass of wine.
Or 4.
Or 6.
And you just kind of just take it in for a second.
Okay, a bottle.
Then you might have friends calling you right away, like, can I get tickets? And I'm like, dude, this just happened.
They called us. Can I carry your mic? I'm like, what?
Listen,
I'm the mic carrier. Are you kidding me?
I carry
can't do
my
anything.
own.
Honestly. So, Z, for you, when you're here and watching all the hoopla here in New Orleans, kind of where are you at in your process now as you're like 365 or so away from this being, you guys being the show?
Yeah. Now it becomes very real, right? So the NFL has kind of a soft 2-year timeline, but a really hard 1-year timeline where they have basically specifics that you do every single month. And so this is the kickoff. We have 2 days of really intense meetings with the NFL while we're here, Thursday and Friday. I have a meeting with the New Orleans host committee. And like, you guys talk about being in a place where someone has done it 10 times. Like I couldn't ask for a better teacher. They've done it 10 times before. So they'll do a lot of transition with us, a lot of best in class learnings, etc. Then we go home and you just start. And so the planning is kind of in a couple different fronts. You're doing all the operational planning, making sure the venues are all ready, making sure we have a great NFL experience, a media center, honors, all of the things that the NFL brings. And then what we try to do is really take the time to focus on what happens when the event actually goes. Because the event in and out in a week. Right? And so the real impact, the reason why sports commissions actually exist is how do you use that event to actually bring back things to the community? How do you make the community better because the event
at the
is
end
here?
Of the day, right?
Yeah, because when the event goes, you don't want it to just be like, party's over, nothing actually happened here.
Sure.
And so we spend a ton of our time thinking about how do you increase our workforce? How do you make sure we have a supplier diversity program? What are you doing for kids who want to play flag football or any other sport that they want to play?
Love that.
How do you make sure there's more fields and refurbished places for people to play? What are you doing for a client? We're all like 50% of our time basically split in those areas.
So a two-part question. When did you get on the ground here in New Orleans? And what's your biggest takeaway so far of what you've seen here and what you can implement in the Bay Area?
So I got here yesterday, so it hasn't been long.
Okay.
But even in the less than 24 hours that I've been here, what's been so awesome is no matter who I've met, who's from here. Could be my Uber driver. Could have been the person who checked me in my hotel. Could have been the people outside when I looked like I was lost, and they were like, let me help you.
Yeah.
Us too.
That's us.
Like, you want to
Where
go
we
that
go?
way.
What bag? Which credential area?
There is a charm and a hospitality here that I knew about. I've been here before, but like I've really
It was different, wasn't it?
It was so different. Yeah. It was so different. And like there's a pride, but it's different from a pride. It's almost like it's this just I want you to have a great time when you're here.
It was an intentional happiness.
Yes.
It was like I walked into the hotel and this lady's like, my best friend. And I was like, did we?
Yes.
And then she threw pralines at me. I'm like, thank you. Can I get some more? And,
and the guy, I met a guy named Kenny, and every time I've walked downstairs and he's working in the valet or working in the car, every time he's like, Simone. I'm thinking, how many people do these people meet? But then every time you walk down, they treat you like they're your best friend. Yeah. It's wonderful. It really is so welcoming. It's wonderful.
And so when you get back to the Bay Area, that's the thing you want people to remember. There's a friendliness that goes along with every aspect of being at a Super Bowl.
That's right. And the great thing about the Bay, like number one, it's you're in the West Coast. It's a little laid back. Oh yeah, you're good.
Very.
It's also a super diverse. Anyone can come to the Bay and feel like they belong. And so we have some of that inherent to who we are. It's just making sure that people feel it as soon as they get into the region.
Simone, do you want to go to any of this video?
Yeah.
That's related to it was like the meta glasses or something,
I want to bring
right?
this up. So yesterday, this is how I kind of met this Bay Area folks. So they have a wonderful partnership or a relationship with Meta.
Okay.
And so, of course, Meta
That's weird. Why is that?
Is the brains behind all the operations, the social medias, the Facebooks. And so I met these two. Well, I can't remember their names. They were wonderful. But I met these two guys here. Okay. And I got to wear these glasses, guys, right? And so if you check this out, it was a pretty neat experience because
they look good on
you. Can't tell.
They do
honestly,
look good, right?
our anchor in Mobile also told me that. So I might have to get a pair of these. I'll have to head up Meta. So I put these, and they're virtual. You can pretty much talk to these glasses. So they're telling me, hey, guys, look in this mirror and say, Meta, take a picture.
Oh.
So, my
Fancy
gosh,
schmancy.
yes.
I have
Meta,
to try
take
them
a
on.
picture.
Oh, wait, what? Hold on
a minute. Hold
There
on a
you go.
minute. Okay, I'm on. Oh my gosh.
Wait.
Okay.
I didn't realize that you had them right
okay.
there.
So you guys, here's the thing. You can't hear what I can hear, but I'm literally going to tell. Meta, take a picture.
Oh, well, I'll put my normal glasses on that don't take a picture while you do that.
Okay. So
Did they just talk
I can
to you?
hear it does this little okay, and it sounds like I'm in like Star Wars kind of.
Yeah.
And it takes a picture, and then you have an app on your phone that then shows you that picture.
Right.
So if I'm like walking around, I'm like, oh, hey, there's Rod Carter.
Are those
Meta,
Ray-Bans?
Meta, take a picture.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like
Ray-Bans, take
Yeah.
a picture.
Yeah, it's
My
pretty-
Ray-Bans
it's
don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
don't get it.
It's amazing. So,
Wow.
I mean, talk about your relationship with Meta and just, I mean, how kind of transformative all of this is.
Yeah,
hilarious.
Meta joined our crew not so long ago. A couple weeks ago, they signed on as a sponsor. And like what I think is really cool about the Bay, right, is exactly your reaction when you put those on.
It was
is
amazing.
When you come into the Bay, there's an expectation that you're going to be looking into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little cheesy sometimes. People are like, it can't, Silicon Valley can't be like that. It actually
It can.
be that.
It is.
Yeah,
Yes.
we want to actually lean into that. Like,
Yes.
you should come into the Bay and have something happen to you from a tech perspective and be like, I can't believe they just did that.
Yeah.
And so we're really
I had that in
leaning
New
into
Orleans, so who knows what can
I
happen
know,
there
right?
in the
There
Bay.
you go.
I better get this invite next year.
Is there a way that we can expect to see how all of this is going to be integrated? Do you want to tell it? Do you want to give us any previews of how this is going to be integrated in the experience?
I don't know exactly yet because we're working with a bunch of partners on exactly what
Right.
the fan experience will look like.
Sure.
But here's what I have in my head. Let me give you a kind of a sneak peek in like Zaylene's brain, and then
I love
somebody
it.
has to
Yes.
figure out how that actually
Hook
works.
us up. Hook us up.
So I want when you come off the plane and you're landing in the Bay and you're kind of doing your normal, like I got my bag and my phone and all the things, and like you get into the you get into the terminal. You have an augmented reality or virtual reality experience,
Yeah.
like a player that just shows up to welcome you into the city.
Oh, my
and you're
God.
kind of just
yeah.
like,
This is going to be killer.
that's what I want. Now somebody has to. There's enough
Somebody gotta
people
make it
that
happen,
are really
right?
smart.
Listen, a little bit ago, we were interviewing children at a local hospital via a robot. If they can
It
do
can be
that,
done.
if they
See?
can do that, they can put they can put Patrick Mahomes in the airport. That's
You
all
can
I'm trying to
actually,
say.
you
That's
can
all I'm trying
already
to
go.
say.
Are
can
you
already,
predicting that Patrick Mahomes is going to be there
Please
next
don't,
year?
Oh my God,
please don't
Simone.
come at me, people.
She's predicted the Niners are going to be in the Super
Yes,
Bowl.
yes.
She's already.
My
Yeah,
bad.
Yes. Oh,
you can
man.
already get into SFO, and the robot will make you coffee. There's some things already in the
Right.
airports there that you're like,
Really?
okay, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I
So
love
it
it. So
really
it's going to
is.
have a very big, heavy push, and I'm excited about that.
Okay, so
We're gonna try.
the black ones are great. The brown ones
No,
were
these are
really
all-
my
these are all me.
vibe. Yes.
These are all
Listen,
me.
They look so
Yeah.
good on
Yeah.
you.
Do they
I
really?
gotta try these.
Okay, here.
Hand them over.
I think you can hear. If you take your headsets off, you can hear it even better. The whole experience. I want you to get the full experience. Take your headset off. There you go, Rod. I got you. Do you hear it?
I do. I heard that. Meta, take a picture. Meta hates.
Meta.
Meta's not listening.
Okay, Meta, listen to me. And
Maybe Meta doesn't like you.
Meta is actually
Meta.
Meta
Say
is a
take
Meta,
a
Meta is
photo.
a guy with a
Meta.
sort of wife
Picture.
who
Take
is
a
very
photo.
demanding. So Meta only listens to women.
No, that didn't work either.
Meta's like, no.
I like Meta.
Meta,
Sorry,
that's
Rod.
awesome.
That's all right. Meta, how do these look on me? No.
Yeah.
They look good, though, right?
Well, Z, thank you
look
so
good.
much for your
Absolutely.
time.
So
and thank
happy
you
to
to
be
your
here.
I'll give these
staff.
back to
You
you.
were
So
wonderful.
happy to be here.
I have to ask, did you play
Fantastic.
sports?
Thank you.
I did.
You're such an athlete. I can
Yeah.
just tell. I'm telling you right now, some people you can interview and you're like, they
I
play
got you.
sports. I'm just,
Yeah,
I can
I'm
just feel
Canadian.
it.
So
What'd
I
you
play
play?
hockey.
Hockey, yeah.
And you know
Love
what?
it.
She played I can't even say on the air. A really great sport. She's tough. She's tough. You know what? Thank you so
Heck
much.
of a. That's what you were going to say.
Heck of a
Heck
sport.
of a
So
sport.
listen,
Thank you so
I'm
much.
going to try
It's
to
been
write to our
fantastic.
next star people right now. Excuse me, Mr. Walsh, Mr. Perry.
We need to be
We would
there.
like to be in the Bay Area
Exactly.
next year.
Exactly.
Please make that happen. Z, thank you so much,
Thank
guys.
you.
What Chip is telling
Thank
us
you.
to get to the break. So we are going to
Yeah.
get to the break, and we will
Just
be
like-
right back in 60 seconds. And we've got some slime coming up on the show.
Not on me, though, right?
It's going on your head.
Okay.
Stay here.
All right. It'll come. Yeah.
So this is the moment I've been waiting for.
Oh, boy.
And we need the assistance of one Austin Kellerman. Austin, please make an appearance. Thank you, sir.
nice.
Wonderful timing.
Thank you, sir. Austin,
Thank you.
appreciate you as our assistant.
Are these jars of slime?
Get your hands. Move your iPad. I would just highly recommend you move your iPad.
Maybe
All right,
maybe
so,
move my beautiful black tablecloth too, just in case.
We will get to that
Yes,
in a
thank you.
moment.
Thank you.
Okay, what is this? Is this
What are we about
important?
to do?
That's
is this
not
something
mine.
we need? Okay.
That's the venues.
All right.
You're like,
all
I
right.
don't care for slime.
I don't care about that.
Listen,
All right, here we go.
guys.
What are we
all
doing?
right. If you were part of the Nickelodeon generation.
And I was not.
I know you were not.
I'm old.
I didn't want to say it. I wanted you to say it. So
No, it's okay.
then I'm not calling
I'm
you
good.
old. So I am.
I am calling
So
me old.
before we get crazy, too crazy with this, first I want to run a little bit of video of what my experience was like yesterday.
Can I see one?
No, you can.
Can I
you
just
can,
look? Thank you.
Just look.
Just look.
Chip, hit the video, and I hung out with the Nickelodeon folks. If you can get the
I love
video
it.
up, okay. So this was yesterday, and I feel like I was living my childhood dream. And that right there is a Mr. Krabby Patty dude hand, and
Well, that's exciting.
I'm like elbow deep in this slime. Okay, so if you grew up on the Nickelodeon era, you know that like the goal in life was to get slimed. You watched
Yeah.
the TV show The Big Bucket, Chip.
I do
you might,
remember
you
it.
might know.
I remember it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean it's pretty well.
I mean, I was grown when it happened, but I
Yeah.
do remember.
So anyway, what I asked Nickelodeon, I said, guys, can we please get a little bit of slime so that we can
What is happening here?
so that we can put it on our show.
I like it
So,
because it's as if you got slimed.
this is
right,
but
Yeah.
it's not
now
really.
Yeah.
we're gonna really
let's make
dive
it
deep
happen.
into this. We're gonna dive deep into this. Hey JP, come here for a minute. Come take part in this.
JP's like, no,
JP
thank
wants
you.
to take part in this too. Get a headset on. Get a headset on.
Wow.
All right.
Get a headset. He's
We're going
making a
on the
guest
fly.
appearance. We're just doing it on the fly. Do not get it on Chip's black.
I will
sit.
not
That's it.
You're
do
not.
that.
I know you're also not part of the Nickelodeon era.
No,
but
I'm
I would
not.
like to
No.
just for everybody to be able to take part in this situation.
All right, what
this
am
is
I
not
doing?
a shot, so no, you're just okay.
Okay.
Now wait a minute. All right,
Okay.
you want to take your jewelry off? All right, guys.
Okay.
So first
boy.
slime experience. Here we go, guys. You ready for this?
Yes. No.
Okay. All right. Hands in, and then I want you to literally lift this and to see what the texture's like. And then I want you to describe this, guys. Let's see it. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh, it's spilling.
That's why I moved the
Gross.
tablecloth. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is.
That's why we moved the tablecloth.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, guys,
fine.
look at this texture. Get a close up of this texture. Get a close up of this texture.
Working on
What
it.
the-
Simone,
oh.
Simone, I am spilling everything right
Hey,
now.
don't
Yeah,
worry, Bounty's
this
over
is-
there. Bounty is over there.
Where-
Yeah, where's
I
the
need
bouncy guy?
Austin, we need the bounty people.
Where's the bouncy
Guys,
guy, Austin?
Okay,
This-
so
Or
all right,
Old Spice Man, whichever one it is.
if I put this on your head right now,
No, you can't
You
do
know,
that.
you won't.
I won't.
This is fascinating.
Don't,
I've never
don't.
felt what that
Because you're
texture
because you're
was
Walter
like.
Payton's son.
No, this
No.
is crazy.
Because it's disgusting.
No.
I'm not Walter Payton's son, but I want you to pour this on my
You want me
head.
to?
And when you got a bald
No.
head, no.
Thank you.
What's it?
No.
The smell could be. The smell is not bad.
Why
it's kind of, there's
doesn't
no
Chip
scent.
have this on his hands?
Wait a
There's
minute.
too many things over
Where's
here.
Chip?
There's
Chip's
really
not gonna
important
mess with
equipment.
technology.
No,
Seriously,
I'm
what is
using
this
my
smell?
hands. I'm sorry.
But you have to be
Ladies and-
impressed.
ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
impressed that at the texture of this. I make slime with my son pretty often, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we can never accomplish this type of texture. This is pretty good right here.
Chip is gonna be so mad. He's
No, he's not.
Yes,
No,
he
because we
is.
moved.
I'll get it off air. All right.
So Nickelodeon. If you don't know, oh my gosh, the cops are coming.
Oh, yeah,
through.
those
The
are
cops
wipes.
Dude, look, the
The
cops.
cops are coming because you
I
have
literally
the
just
slime.
looked up. Is it like who is that?
I wish
Is
he
that
would
like
come.
a-
I wish he'd come in.
That's Justin Jefferson.
Oh, he's got a lot of. Okay, that's Entourage.
Oh, that is
yeah.
a lot
That's
of
right.
people.
JJ.
Justin Jefferson, would you like to play with some slime?
Yeah.
Answer no.
Slime,
Okay.
my brother.
Okay. So
No,
That would
are
be
you
a
good?
no,
Go around and shake people's hands with that.
no. I'm gonna go wash my hands.
Well,
you
it's
like a
okay. We have
Clorox
Clorox.
No,
Are you upset?
no,
my
no,
shirt.
Simone.
Oh,
what
no,
are you,
not your
Simone.
shirt.
I gotta do interviews
High
for the rest
five.
of the day.
High five.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of nasty though. I ain't gonna lie.
Thanks, Jarrett. Great to
Bye.
have you back.
Jared, appreciate our guy Rick with the assistance here with the assistance on that. Okay, guys, listen. All I know is I was told get the slime on the show, and I wanted the slime on the show. So here we are. If you grew up in the 90s, if you were in the heyday of your 90s, you know that
I
watching
don't know why I'm having way too
Nickelodeon,
much fun with this joke.
watching
This is great.
Nickelodeon, and getting to experience slime firsthand for me, it's kind of like a childhood dream come true.
I'm very happy that we could make your childhood dream come true
Actually,
on this live stream.
it was. Do not take credit for that. It was actually. Oh, it was SpongeBob.
Oh, it was
and
SpongeBob
Patrick.
did it.
It was
Would you like to put
SpongeBob.
this on?
Here, so
I'm
while your hands are occupied with slime, I want to occupy your eyes with a little bit from the media party last
This is
night.
hot.
If I may pivot. That's good.
Please pivot.
It's nice. It's
I'm
not
begging
yeah.
you to
so,
pivot.
So, media party, I'd never been to like a media party,
Don't taste
anything. And I
Does
show
it
up
say
to
it's
this thing.
edible?
It's at a place called the Port of New Orleans Mardi Gras World. So this is where they build the floats for like Mardi Gras and the big parades, right?
Okay.
There are 30 restaurants.
I'm sorry.
30 restaurants there. There's like 24 bars that are open.
Okay, Chip,
You lost the room,
roll
buddy.
the video, bro.
Just roll it.
Listen, I just wanted to set up like it's crazy, and then so I'm walking around, and then finally like
Hit
I
play.
get to this point, right? And I was like, what is happening right now? Have you guys heard of the 6'10" stompers?
No, but
I had not heard of the 6'10" stompers.
I think I've
Rod,
seen
have
these
you?
guys before.
So look at just look at this crowd of gentlemen, if you will. A lot of mustaches, a lot of beer bellies. I think they'd be okay with me saying
dad
that.
bods.
Very
Dad
short
bods,
shorts.
sure. Some
high
very
socks
tight.
and very
Short
I
shorts.
mean,
That-
it is.
That right there looks like 1970s college basketball. A little bit.
It's epic. And what do you think they're about to do?
Dance.
Dance is right. They're about to bust it and
Or
to
be
watch.
in a dodgeball movie. I'm not sure which. One or the other.
I honestly was thinking this is dodgeball.
So
I hope they keep the jackets on, but I think the jackets are probably going to come off.
no, they do keep them on. But
That
just
looks
I'll
like
just
part of
we'll
the
watch,
outfit.
We'll watch a little bit of the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
We need two shots. Hold on. Put us on. Put us on. Put us on. How do we do this? Here we go now. And
They're
you make
killing
you
it.
Lose control. Hey, bring up our camera. Hold on.
Well,
wait a
no,
minute.
I just want to show these guys first.
They're killing it.
Hello, face, chubby waist, say, sin shake. Make you do a double take.
I'm impressed that you
So-
know the words of this song.
What do you-
Thank you.
It's Missy Elliott.
I don't
back
think
up, Chip.
you would be allowed in the 6'10" stompers, but
I mean,
your moves qualify.
I don't have a mustache and a beer
I'm just
belly and a
observing
headband.
the people there, but yeah. So that happened. That's a thing.
That was fun.
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that group existed, and so
the music,
media
the
party
music.
apparently. That's where the 6'10" stompers just show up, and then there was
I would like to be a part of that.
groups Soul Rebels. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Soul Rebels. It's a kind of a brass band group, but they also do some singing and rap.
I do know Missy
As a
Elliott. though.
saxophone player, it was awesome. Like, it was a great actual party. So that's what I wanted to bring to this party.
Shout
Gotcha.
out,
So
shout out
thank
to
you.
our
Thank you.
friend. Two things. Shout out to one to Nickelodeon for making this a very easy cleanup,
And
and
JP.
to JP
Thank you.
for bringing us this bounty.
Bounty towels. Are your hands stained?
No.
It looks like your hands are
Yes,
stained.
slightly.
They are.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow. Man, that's gonna mess up my pedicure, Rod. How'd you want this slime on the show?
What?
All right, hey.
This is not my fault?
Hey, we got 5 more minutes, and Rod, you actually brought something to contribute to this party as well.
Sure.
So why don't we
I
want
want to show you my
one?
favorite.
His personality.
My favorite. My what? That sounded like sarcasm.
you can no. I was meant it.
My it's my favorite Super Bowl moment ever. This is back 4 years ago when the Tampa Bay Bucks won the Super Bowl.
When Tom
And-
Brady almost threw the Lombardi Trophy in the river,
This is literally just before that happened. I
like
was
seconds
on the,
before.
Yeah, just a few minutes. I was on the boat with the mayor.
I'm on a boat.
Oh, that's it. That's the trophy
Yeah,
right there.
there's the trophy right
that the
there.
family?
That's the family. You're going to see him in a second. The mayor's boat pulls up to his boat to have a conversation, just to say hello. And so the funniest moment for
Hey,
me
there
is this.
he is.
Yeah, he's coming. And that's Mayor Jane Castor. And the guy standing next to Jane Castor would be me. And you'll see a mic
just
go
so you know, I ripped
popping
this
in.
off the YouTube for you. It did not come with the audio, so you're
Off
going to
of
have
the
to
YouTube.
narrate.
That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm talking through.
Okay,
it.
good.
Yeah, so this was actually live on our air 4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
What a
pretty cool.
shot! Who was your photographer? Give a shout out to your
No,
photographer
that
working
was Todd
it.
Davis who was
Okay.
there, and he was standing there, and I'm,
Yeah.
listening. I'm just getting their conversation.
And you're like, hey, who's that guy in the orange
something,
shirt?
something says, I actually know who Tom Brady is. Thank you. Something says you should probably ask him a question or two because
Yes.
this is your last chance.
What
and,
an
and it worked
opportunity.
out well. Yeah, we got him, and it was the first actual on-camera interview that he'd done since he moved there.
Who says you're not
Yeah.
a Super
Yeah.
Bowl
Well,
football guy? You're a football guy.
I've been to a couple here and there and covered a few, but Tom
Man.
Brady's not exactly the hardest person to know who he is, so we all know. Thank you.
Listen, that's awesome.
It was a great
right there.
experience. So yeah, it was fun.
That's memorable.
You would think I'd retire after that because I was done.
You
but
could have
yeah.
called Tom to have him on the show. Y'all are that close. You were there on his
you know,
yacht.
I called him, but he was busy today. And he said, I'll hit you back tomorrow.
Getting ready for the game broadcast, something like that.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
So it was a fun time, yeah. It was
listen,
pretty cool,
guys,
though.
this has been a fun time all around.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the folks that give us this platform to be able to play with slime, turn this table in our hands green, interview some wonderful people.
Yeah, thank you for protecting my tablecloth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And truly, on a real talk, thank you to, oh my gosh.
Well, there's slime on the hat.
That's okay.
Thank you to all of our wonderful guests, because truly, as we clean up slime, and seems unserious, I was wonderful to be able to catch up with so many folks.
Yep.
And, I know you have them listed over there if you want to kind of rehash all those wonderful people that we talked to in the last hour. And
sure.
Yeah.
Of course, Mark Romick, who's the Romick royalty, the voice of the Saints.
Yes.
And his father, his brother, longest running employee
his
here.
touchdown Saints thing was
amazing,
That was amazing.
So
yeah,
we're grateful he was here. Who else did we have?
We had Z from the Bay Area.
Z from the Bay Area,
she's a CEO of the Bay Area for Super Bowl next year.
You guys can wait till after the show to clean. It's okay.
I don't know. We're kind of in this whole thing.
Okay, all right.
I kind of like this. It's called multitasking.
And
this is what we do.
and by the way, we do have a personal invitation to cover the game.
Yes, we do. And so I'll go ahead and charge that to Next Star.
Exactly.
And
so
one
we have to be there.
CC Austin Kellerman.
Yeah. No, we were invited by host committee. They said you got to be there.
They said, please come.
And Adam Budelli, who was here from
it was
StubHub.
Wonderful, yes, as well. And so, and shout out to the Old Spice man for the competition, and that was friendly competition. That was a great time as well.
He's a fun guy to talk to.
He said he was not comfortable. I mean, he had to have been cold because I'm freezing in here and I have clothes on. So
I wasn't cold until I got slime.
Yeah.
But anyway,
all right,
listen, thanks guys. We appreciate you joining us.
It's been so much fun. For Rod, for me, I'm Simone, and Chip behind the scenes, JP's guest appearance, Rick helping out, Austin Kellerman showing up with the bounty wipes, man.
Yeah.
Listen, we appreciate your
and
time.
JP for the bounty wipes.
Yeah, no question. We appreciate you guys, and we will continue to not only have a Big Game Bound at noon every day, but then the special edition of Radio Row at 1 o'clock leading up to Super Bowl Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. For Rod, I'm Simone, and we'll see you later.
Slime.